town has those.
Oh, yeah. I'm not immune, that's for sure.
The house up for me last night had automatic fire alarm again. Burnt something cooking.
That happens to me too. That's how we know the dinner's done.
This is like the 6th automatic alarm they've gone to in like the last month and a half.
Oh my gosh.
I knew something went off because next thing I know, engine 4 and rescue were flying by the house. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, when we left the Selectmen's meeting the other night, last Tuesday, they were flying down Temple Road. Not Temple, there, no. One right here.
Oh, that was the one, probably that wilderness rescue.
Yeah, yeah,
There.
there, yeah. Is that what I said the second time? I said Temple, then I think I said there. Everything all right?
Pretty fine. Thank you.
Yeah, so he is coming, so I said we'll just hold
Okay.
tight for a minute,
Okay,
but he's not here by 5 after, we'll just get started.
okay.
Can't do too much damage.
You never know. You wouldn't wanna miss the pledge. There he is.
Wow,
Evening,
You're fine.
you're late.
you're just in
I am.
time.
I'm 1.5.
Selectman Somro came into the room, please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all who came to the meeting this evening. We got some fun, wild stuff slated. And then all y'all out in television land, pretty simple-ish meeting. I had to say that because I don't know what's going to come up, but we're going to have some employee handbook discussion and then get in some roundtable old new business and no non-publics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With that, Debbie?
yeah. So I was under the impression that we were revamping or just at the very minimum, taking a look at the, employee handbook and you guys wanted all, employee input on everything. So, a few people sent emails and, the ones that sent them are here, except for one. So, and I didn't hear about anything else, so I made a copy of everybody's email for you guys. One of the main things that we originally were questioning was the, when the select board decided to give part-timers vacation equivalent to whatever hours they work. That is not, the employee handbook wasn't updated to reflect that, so at the very minimum that needed to be done. But we do have other suggestions from other people, so.
Okay. And the only suggestion I was able to review is that one that we had gotten last week.
That one.
Yeah. The other
Yeah,
ones
I
I
got
hadn't
the
had a
other
chance
ones
to
today.
hadn't had a chance to take a look at yet. So we can kinda get into it and see where we go from there, cause I know there's one other aspect that we were looking at incorporating into the handbook, which was the gifting of sick time.
Yep.
So I just wanna follow off. And then I didn't know if we should add the volunteer policy to the employee handbook as well. So we have a section for volunteers in there.
Do we have all policies in the handbook, or is that something separate?
We don't have any policies in the handbook
Oh, I guess
right now.
to some
I
degree
mean,
the whole
can't hurt to
handbook's a
add.
policy
Right,
book.
yeah. So,
Alright. Then of y'all that came into the meeting, did you have any sections that you wanted us to take a special look at and consider?
yeah, that's this one.
Oh,
that you
okay.
guys
If I'm
had
not
already looked
mistaken.
at. That's a collaborative
I mirrored
effort.
it to the handbook.
Okay,
Yeah, and this is a collective,
okay.
what am I trying to say? All the guys at the DPW put this together. There we go. My wordsmithing is gone today.
So I think it might be easier if you start out, read out the ones, you know, start from the top, maybe we can answer a little bit better.
Okay, that makes sense.
Versus, I
Since-
wrote that out, I don't know how long ago,
Yeah.
I forgot what I wrote half of it.
Okay, and since you guys are in the room, it makes sense to go right through that
Yeah.
first. Yep. Alright, so this is the sheet that we're referencing, Lou, this one,
Mm-hmm.
and then
There's
Jason.
that, but there's also, some that's on the first one.
Yeah, just, yeah, we'll go through the DPW
Mhm.
suggestions and compare them.
So, you wrote on here life insurance policy?
There's nothing in the policy that says that we have one and how much is it?
Oh, cause you do,
Maybe I overlooked it.
and the town pays for it, I don't know, I didn't bring my copy of the,
Normally, you do get some sort of policy like
Yeah.
that, but I couldn't see like a figure or anything like that.
okay.
I think it just says that you do get one.
I thought I printed my copy.
6.05.
Yeah,
What does it say?
Would you like me to read it?
how's it going?
Grab a seat.
Is it one there?
Yeah. Mike found it, right?
Yeah, it's page 25, at least on the handbook I have from November
Yeah.
1st, 2011.
I have the one that Debbie sent everybody.
So I just said it does mention a $25,000 life insurance policy.
Oh, my.
Alright, so that's a 2011 one.
Yeah.
I have one that's effective 2014. I believe that's the same as what Jason's working on it.
Yeah, the 2014 was the most recent one I could find, other than the 2019 that was being worked on, but I don't know. What I sent you was the one that, as far as I can find in the computer and paper and everything, was the
What was the
final
last
one
one that's
on it.
finalized?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, makes sense.
That one's taken care of.
Yeah, there's not much
That's,
detail in there.
But I don't know if it should be spelled out like the chief just read, because that should be more of an option, I would think,
Yeah.
for the employees. Is there an option with the life insurance carrier
No,
of
there's
coverage?
no, there's only
It's-
one,
One thing,
yeah,
that's odd, isn't it?
I think.
Or is that normal for municipalities?
No, I think just the way it's set up, I think that's the only way you could do it, because I asked before if you
Who
could
is
get
it
more.
through?
Health Trust,
So that's something different than the,
it's always been through Health Trust.
Can the employee get a higher number or higher coverage
Not
if they
to my
pay extra for it?
knowledge. Not to my,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
what I
what,
was
that's
driving.
what I was asking, and
or
They-
lower. If- But
Yeah.
this is,
It's
is this fully paid then?
yeah, it's $4.
You
Oh,
contribute or
okay.
not?
No.
Yeah.
Alright.
It's $4.
Let me backpedal a little here.
Yeah.
It's $4.
If it's fully
a month.
paid, we're gonna put a limit on it.
Yeah, I think at least 1.2
It's
million.
it's $4
Yeah.
a month.
We should limit
That's
it,
what it
not
is?
go too
Yeah,
far.
so I don't know if that's something the town decided on years ago. I mean, I can look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want me
Alright.
to?
Well, no, that's fine. But I think the life insurance section's satisfied because you didn't see it, right?
No,
Okay. Alright.
but I do know there was a couple books running around different dates.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a part of why we're picking this back
Cool.
up and
we need to.
solidifying
Yeah,
it.
and-
Yeah.
And what my understanding was we really wanted to just get it officially and not officially accepted, signed by the selectmen and done not necessarily revamp the manual.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
That was
not-
our real goal, was to give a solid thing to work on, and then if things come up in the future. But,
Then add 'em.
yeah,
Because I know, like, taking these and, like, the suggestions,
I
and
misunderstood.
well, no, that, I believe this part's correct, but then the aspect of all the other towns' employee handbooks.
Yeah,
Not necessarily for us to review those and
Right.
see if there's
Yeah.
any major changes
I mean, I
that we
figured
wanna
I'd
make
send
with
them to
ours.
you if you know, cause I know you like Wilton's, you know, policies and procedures, so I have their employee handbook. I don't think we really address social media very much in ours, and that's like a whole thing, so I feel like we need to add something, that's just my, what's out,
Okay,
sorry.
that's all set.
So health, eye, dental, paid 100%.
When I first started, Peter told me that you guys were talking about trying to get people, cause you couldn't hire people out. And then, not only if you do get somebody, just for employee retention. If you go to any other municipalities around, that's one of the biggest things they offer, is 100% paid.
Hmm.
So,
Then I
yeah,
read your minutes a while back, and I was shocked to hear that some made a motion to go 25% for us to pay in. Then some said 5.
no,
So-
that
no,
was
that
actually,
was, that was the deliberative session.
that wasn't here.
Yeah, okay, but,
Yeah, that
yeah,
wasn't in here.
but when I was reading it, I'm like, okay, now you wanna go up? But yet somebody else said 5%, then somebody else said 0, then you guys chose to leave it at the 15%.
That was, it was
That was-
actually the town who chose.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't the selectmen at all. That
Oh,
was,
no, no.
it started off as a petition warrant
Yeah.
article
Right,
to increase the employee contribution. It got amended,
Couple times.
twice, and then it ended up
Staying
being,
the same.
right,
well,
yeah,
this is a thing, like with this number one, request, is now we have a warrant article that says it will stay at 15%.
so,
And so,
well,
So I understand that
yeah.
the residents are the ones that voted it
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but they also don't realize, I don't think they know the other end of it, by you guys can't hire anybody, you know?
we've tried to stress that.
We tried to say that.
Just a note on that warrant article, according to the attorneys, it was advisory only, so even if that 25% did pass,
Mhm.
it's still, the selectmen still didn't have to approve that. So that warrant article was kind of a non-issue.
Not necessarily, because the selectmen may choose to take the voters
Oh, yeah,
seriously.
absolutely, but
And-
they didn't have to,
Yeah,
is the point. So
Right.
you don't have to take 15, you don't have to take 25, you can do whatever you want. You can say the employees pay the whole thing. I mean, it's, that warrant article was advisory only. But, I mean, obviously, if the people vote on a certain thing, you wanna take that into consideration when you're thinking about it, so,
yeah, so
but it passed anyway.
on that first note, we're gonna keep it at 85%, for now. But we do, it is a discussion annually during budget season, you know, what could we do, like, is it, you know, a little bit higher wages or benefits, and trying to weigh that all out.
Because I just told Peter this morning, since January, since I got on the plan, I've had to pay full price for my prescriptions. They declined me straight up. They're doctors. Now, I've been fighting with them January, February, March. I was
Okay.
just on the phone with them yesterday again. They still declined it. I have to go through an appeals. I've been on this medication for over 15 years. I've never once had this issue. But what really ticked me off is my wife had surgery, we had Cobra in between,
Yeah,
then she ended up with a blood clot. Now, my insurance kicked in, so she had a 3-month supply through the Cobra. Well, she just went to fill it, $1,700. I have to pay, and that's after the insurance contributed. So, when I got on the phone with Cigna, I lost my mind on them. They switched me over to somebody else, It was like, show me a plan that has a normal deductible, you know, or a copay. Not tell me straight out that you're not gonna pay for my prescription. You know, they sent my doctor a list of, you gotta try this, this, and this. Well, in 15 years, I've tried all of it. This is what works,
Yeah.
Oh,
you know.
you're the first person I've heard.
I was gonna come see you today, but
Yeah.
we got stuck with a cold.
I mean, not
I
that I
would've,
can do anything.
not that it's not your guys' fault,
Yeah.
but it gets very frustrating, you know, when I have to either fight with the insurance company or fight with the pharmacy
Well, this-
every month.
This was a reason why we approved
This
what we were
insurance.
told was a Cadillac plan.
No,
And the
no,
reason-
you
Wait,
wouldn't-
wait.
So which one is
And-
it, the red, the green, the orange, or the?
No, but it was also a reason, because we chose a more expensive plan, that's why that petition warrant article went in.
Okay.
And just so you understand, I'm not saying one way or another.
No, I understand your side, I just needed you to hear
Yeah.
my side.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never asked Keegan or Scott how, you know, medically and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But ask Pete, I've never once compared New Ipswich with Mason or Merrimack, I've never done that. But I did pull it up, all of my pay stubs before and all of their policy procedures. And like you just said, you were advised that this is the better of the plans. And I don't know how much you guys are paying for the 85% contribute, but the hassle that I'm running into now, I don't know if anybody else has.
May I? Since I was not the deciding person who got the health insurance, but everyone was very unhappy with the previous health insurance. So that when I was town administrator, that was the first thing I wanted to look into, is how do you make the employees happy? So there's 3 plans that we chose, none of which are Cadillac plans, because there are 3 other plans higher and more expensive that cover more than the 3 that we offer. So they are not Cadillacs by any stretch, but they are good plans, very good plans. We had them come in, explain how it all works to all the employees. I don't know, you're probably the only one who's still here that was there.
No, I was like,
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Us too.
and everyone knew it was going to be more out of pocket expense weekly out of your paycheck, and they didn't have a problem with that because they were going to have better coverage. You're the first person. You're the first person I've heard say anything about it. Negative.
Oh, sure.
I haven't had any. What I found personally was their year starts in September, so your deductible resets in September. So when I refill prescriptions in September, they're more expensive. Once I hit the deductible, though, most of them are free. Some of them are $13. So I guess it depends on what prescriptions they are or whatever. But once and then, depending on the plan you picked, if you pick the yellow with choice, and you do their health assessment at the beginning of whenever, then they put the $1,000. If you have say, I'm just using as an example, say you have a 2-person plan, so your deductible is $2,000.
Family.
They give. So I didn't want
Yeah.
to get into details because that's private information.
Oh, no,
So I'm
it's
just saying,
2,000
for
single,
example,
4,000 family.
but there's one in the middle that's just a 2-person. So if you have a $4,000 thing, they don't reimburse you. They don't send you a check for the $2,000 once you hit your deductible. What they do is, if you do that assessment thing, they put $2,000 in your account, and then every time you get a prescription filled, there's 0 until that money runs
So,
out.
I understand what you're saying. I've used an HSA account before, where I've contributed money, the town also matched at one point.
Yeah,
So it's like a credit card when you go to pay for it,
yeah,
but you're paying a higher premium in prescription. That I get. But I got a letter at home January, February, and then I just got a new one.
all right. We should
Plain out.
probably take this.
That,
Yeah,
We'll
it sounds
discuss
like-
it, and then because that's more of a personal
but I
thing.
just, the insurance was one of the things
Yeah.
when I wrote that up.
Yeah,
And then it
I
just
mean,
dominoed.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about that because
Okay.
it is a really good plan, and I haven't had anyone say otherwise. No one's come to me and said it
And
wasn't.
Every phone call that I've made so far, nobody can give me the correct answers.
Okay.
so,
Alright.
Alright, we can try to call tomorrow.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
just make one comment.
Mm.
For those that have the choice plan with the health assessment,
Mhm.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah,
You
me
have
too.
June to July 1st to do the assessment, that's the open period, or else you don't get the
Right.
$1,000.
So I'm not even at that point yet.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm just letting you know
You know what
that
I mean?
in
Nobody's
January
once
23,
said
I
that on
didn't
the
do
phone
it.
either.
Yeah, I didn't either.
She's the one that mentioned it to me
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
but I didn't meet the criteria yet.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
you hadn't been there, yeah.
But I'm saying if you have that, don't do what I did and
And-
miss it.
Miss it.
Yeah,
Right, so this
Now you
year I
gotta
called them up, I'm like, wow, what happened? I paid the whole 2,000. They're like, yeah, you didn't do the health assessment. I'm like,
yeah.
I did. They're like, well, you did it late. I'm like, so it's in my calendar already for June 1st.
Right,
to
fill it out,
I
yeah.
don't know if you guys have choice, but
Yeah,
That's,
it's
that's
$1,000
what I have.
in your pocket.
yeah,
Put it that way.
Cause I asked these two when it came up, and that's what we came up with, the
Yeah.
yellow choice.
right,
That was supposed to be the better route.
right.
But
It's
okay,
the, it's
that's
the
what
best
they
of the
make
three.
sense.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sure, you know,
So-
Debbie will help
Yep,
get
that's
it
fine.
squared
Yeah.
away.
Like I said, I was gonna see her earlier this morning, but somebody decided that we had to fix a road. So,
okay,
Alright, and then overtime, we do have overtime after, like over the,
after 40.
40.
yeah, after 40.
I don't wanna say we get screwed, but we miss out on it. So if there's a day off that we have to take, cause we're gonna lose it or whatever, you don't get that 8 hours. So if we have to come in at random time, you know, in the middle of the night or whatever, we could hit 40 by Wednesday. But yet if you take a day off and you only hit it at 38, whatever is overtime, you don't get it no more.
only if it's sick. If you take sick time, it doesn't count toward
So
time
if you
worked.
were to schedule a day off,
If you have a vacation day, PTO day,
that will
and
count.
that counts toward, that's 8 hours or 10 hour, whatever you're working
Working.
that
I don't
thing.
think that's what we've been getting paid for a long time though.
And then,
Long time.
what?
I don't think we've been getting paid like that. Meaning my guy's the same thing. They'll take a vacation day, but get stuck working 8 hours late on on a call, and then they'll come back and they're like, I didn't get any overtime. They just took it out. They just didn't use
Or-
as much personal time.
So
It-
if your week is 40 hours, and one of the, or however many, you can have a whole week of vacation, but you went in at night, and whatever you worked that night, that would all be overtime, because it's only if it's sick time. Sick time does not count toward hours worked.
I just don't think that's the way we've been getting paid.
Yeah,
Mindy asks me every time,
So I'm-
and I always
I
tell her,
understand
stay
what you're
home.
saying by 40, you're taking a week off. What if you just take one day off?
If you take
And
one
then
day
we had,
off,
we had
yeah.
a snowstorm come in,
Yep.
he calls.
Mhm.
Basically, I look at it as even if you had a scheduled day off, you have to come in because that's part of our jobs.
Right.
So, and I also understand during the summer, you try to cut back as much overtime as you can. Because it's not like winter time.
Right.
We look forward towards the winter,
Mhm.
only
Oh, yeah.
because we've gotta bank the money.
Right.
But if we had a day off and then we come in, I've seen it before that if we came in for 10 hours, you gotta take 8 of it to go into the 40, and then you get 2 hours of overtime.
You have to have your 40 hours of
Right, but
worked
if
time.
we only have 32,
And 8 of that, and then you have your 8 hours of vacation time, that makes you 40 hours. Anything you work over 40 hours, if you take vacation or PTO, that counts toward your 40. So anything
Okay.
you work over 40 gets paid as overtime. If it's sick time,
And
it
holidays
does
the
not
same?
count. Holidays, that's,
We don't-
Yeah,
Holidays
holidays
are the
is
same.
time worked,
yeah.
considered time worked.
So
and all
holidays,
are.
vacation, PTO are considered time work, sick time is
so
not.
again, I've only been here a short time, but then the chief just said that he seems like he hasn't been getting paid that way.
So if you're scheduled for a day off, but then you get called in.
Yep.
That day off is paid, right? Say it's a vacation day. So your vacation day is how many ever hours, 8 hours, say.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be putting on your timesheet the 8 hours, and then what you did work, 4 hours or whatever, so a total of 12 hours for that day. Which that should possibly bring you to overtime of 4 hours.
Okay.
Only if you
Work.
work 40 hours in a week.
Right.
It's not how many hours in a day, it's how many hours in a week.
Right.
That you had,
So I took
To put
personal
in-
time on one day, we got called in, and then I got the 4 hours of paid the straight time.
So, did you,
It was personal time that I took, we worked. I lose 3
It
hours.
happens.
again, another personal thing, I guess.
but what
have
I'm
to
just
talk
saying
about.
is, I've seen it too many times in the
Yeah.
past. I've heard it from him, that you just kinda reiterated on it, that's why I said a simple way of doing it is after 8 hours, it's overtime.
Oh,
Or
that's
if we
where you're
go
going
to a
with that.
4-hour day, 4-day work week, after 10, if we had to stay
Whatever our
longer.
schedule is, we.
Yeah, basically,
You know.
overtime after your scheduled shift.
And
Yeah.
trust me, I've talked to Pete about it, and I understand the select board and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys frown upon it, but it's never passed before.
Yeah, well.
Mason, you had to work, it was worked hours, straight out. No holiday, sick time, you didn't get it for your overtime. So that was a real kick in the teeth. You know, you try to take a day off, then you get called in, you're only getting paid 32. 8 hours that you worked overtime has to go towards the 40 before you get it.
Yeah,
So it's like, where's the incentive? Like the 2-hour call-in. There's not a job here that we come in here and it's quicker than 2 hours.
right.
You
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
it
the state
here
label does say basically.
Yeah, I do.
on page
It's
22.
based on the 40
Oh,
hours.
I was looking at page 29.
Can be, but I also seen it after 8 hours or after 10 if we're on a 4-day work week. It just, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it just, I have to say it, that way I know I said
No,
it.
absolutely, we asked for
It
it.
should make it simpler, in my eyes, instead of
Oh, I agree.
all of a sudden you got 24 hours and you came in, you got 15 hours overtime, you gotta now subtract that to put towards the 40, and then what do you got left? It gets
Yeah.
confusing, and you figure times 1, times 2,
But if you have a sick day, if you work 12 hours in one day, and then you call out sick the next day, that's not counting toward your 40. That's why, so sick time is not included as far as time worked.
okay, so sick
So,
time,
as it is now, if you have a sick day in your work week,
but yet a PTO
and you work
is,
12 hours one day, right, PTO and vacation is counted hours worked and holidays.
and
But
that,
it, sick time is not counted toward worked, hours worked.
so in conjunction with that, your PTO hours. It's more of incentive plan to get people to come work for you or to stay. You should get, after 40 hours, 1.85 or something like, I wrote it down, the math on it.
Yeah.
It's, you accrue your vacation time instead of,
Resetting on your anniversary date.
cause I get nothing this year, according to the policy
After 6
procedure.
months, you get a week.
But as of, so with that being said, accrued the PTO or how you guys phrase for, sick time or something like, not sick time, but vacation, hours worked, so if you worked a 40-hour work week, you get 1.5 or whatever hours. It's on my sheet there, how I.
Yeah,
And I'm only saying that because it's worked in the past of other municipalities. I don't know if you guys ever thought of that, instead of you guys coming up with, yep, you get 1 week's vacation. I remember the old days going for a job interview, you asked right off the bat, I want a week to start, or 2 weeks to start, plus your negotiation rate. Now it's whatever's in the handbook is,
yeah. Alright,
because any applicant's not gonna read the handbook before they're trying to come in and get a job. They're just looking for a job and,
yeah, no, I could see that, yeah,
right,
Yeah.
some of the perks, some of the benefits. Again, you guys might just think I'm, out in left field, but you
No.
ask for,
No, that's what we
Yeah.
asked
these
for.
are things
Very
I've
good.
personally
Yeah.
ran into.
Then we asked for ideas, so.
These two are too young versus, jobs that I've been, cause I've municipality, I've been in it for 10 years, and
Okay.
it just, you can see, not mistakes, but the problems that each department runs into,
Mhm.
you know? And it worked the same for, you know, the police department or whatever. If you work your 40 hours, you got an hour and a half or almost 2 hours that's built up into your PTO.
And so I'm just gonna make a general comment before we walk back, like the different sections and things.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mention of sick time in this version. Or I couldn't find it, it was just listed as PTO. For the handbook, so I don't know what was changed, maybe 2019 it was updated.
You know, Pete, I don't
There's
know
no sick time in that
what
handbook?
year is the one you
No,
got
I
in the
didn't.
office.
They
Would be
call
this
for
14
PTO.
one. That's what I was.
A lot of companies have gone over to just considering everything
Yeah,
PPO, paid personal.
2930 should have it.
oh, alright. I missed the heading on the bottom, okay. Alright, so back on the vacation time and personal time off. In relations to overtime, both have a section that are worded similarly, that it wouldn't. So vacation time off is paid at the employee's base rate in hours at the time of vacation. It does not include overtime or any special forms of compensation such as incentives, commissions, bonuses, or shift differentials. The same exact wording in PTO. And
So it's counted as time worked.
is that what that reads? That's counted as time worked?
Most companies now have gone into, putting it all together into paid personal time.
Mm.
And so that includes your vacation, your sick leave, your, whatever else. Your
PTO.
PTO.
And they just lump it together as
They just-
PTO, so you
right.
can take those allotted hours every year,
And
however
then-
you wanna do it.
Right, and anything that, floats over at the end of the year that you've got left over, they'll limit it to X number of weeks that you can actually carry over to the next
Right.
year.
That, and currently, let's go back to the overtime first, and then,
Yeah. So the way I read those, and I could just be having a comprehension issue this evening, is that it doesn't push you into the overtime category. You know, like if you had 38 hours and you had taken a vacation day during the week, that vacation day is just straight pay.
the vacation day itself is
It's
straight
calculated
pay.
last, like it's not calculated first in the equation, like it comes in
Right, so
like as its own whole thing.
yeah,
So you can't get overtime using vacation unless you still put in over 40 hours of actual worked time.
Right.
what?
I'm telling you, that's how we've
Yeah.
been getting paid for years.
Yeah, I think
My guys
that's
come
how
to me
it's-
all the
I think
time.
I think that's how it reads, right?
Yeah.
If-
Exactly that way.
It hasn't happened to me yet,
No, it happens to my
All right,
guys.
well,
Right.
That's,
when it does happen, I'm gonna be
I've been
right
here
in
for
this
70
office
years, and
saying,
that's what's been happening.
So
Well,
Mike,
this,
sorry. So is it right now how you've been paid is on just on the holidays that you would get the time and a half because it's considered time
Yeah,
work?
because they just get paid. The police are different in that aspect.
yeah,
that
they
we
don't
just
get holidays.
We just get paid 2 different checks, cause we work the holidays, we don't get them off.
Yeah.
So they just work straight time on the holiday and the town cuts them a check for 5 days in July and 5 days in December.
Okay.
Because they work them.
So you wouldn't get it in any three categories then, PTO, vacation, or sick time.
Based upon from what I've seen, no.
Just the
very
holidays, the
first-
holidays count that way
Yes,
as a day.
but with them it's a little bit
Police.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the first time that this ever happened, that it kind of what Deb was talking about, was just in the last, I think, month, where a sergeant took some time and there was some overtime, and I was like, there was some conversation about that,
Mm.
not getting paid the overtime, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna get it. I'm like, well, we've never gotten it before. So I don't know where it landed.
I-
So I just know that my guys are commonly forced to stay. They're in the middle of the
Right.
case, they
Oh, yeah,
can't go
they
home,
have to.
and they're like, well, you know, I took a day off tomorrow. Now I'm not getting compensated for being here for 13 hours instead of 8.
Right,
You know, so I don't get any extra. I put the effort in. I stayed and did my
Right.
job as expected. But just because I have a scheduled PTO or vacation day, they say, no, you're gonna get your 40, and instead of taking 10 hours of vacation, they'll only take 7 hours from you since you stayed 3 hours late. So it's like 3 hours go back to the vacation time. And I always said, like, well, that's not a fair deal. Right? You're asking our employees to step up when called upon
yeah,
to work beyond their schedule. And we all know we have families and places to be and things to do. And I guess my suggestion to the board was at least consider changing the policy, if possible, to
anything.
instead of
like
after
that.
40 hours beyond your scheduled shift for that day. It's up to you guys. And then the language in there about how your vacation, PTO, or holiday would count towards your 40-hour work week in order to obtain OT. And, I think it's
But
fair.
it made sense the way I kind of,
Yeah.
it's less confusing.
Right.
Almost after the 8 hours, there it is. Versus you gotta wait till you hit your 40, because who knows what happens in those 5 days or 3 days.
So what happens if you take a vacation day and you get your 8 hours of vacation pay and then you get called in at that night?
So if you look at your pay stub, it will show holiday pay, vacation pay.
No, I
So-
know that, but what are you gonna get
but
paid?
you're straight 32 hours.
Straight time.
It'll be straight, it'll end up being straight time, because it falls, I don't know if the computer generates it that way, because I think that's what happens.
So I'm asking, in your scenario, you
So
get
my
paid
scenario-
after, over your scheduled shift, so your shift is 8 hours, and then you get called in to work 4 hours that night to plow, but you've taken an 8-hour vacation time. Do you get 4 hours of overtime that day because you took vacation day?
That day, yes.
That's what I just wanted to clarify.
So you-
As long
You
as
did-
you work 40 hours.
well, no, he was,
Yeah.
he was playing out a different scenario.
Yeah, he's
So-
saying 8 hours.
Real simple.
Overtime
Monday,
after
we come
your
in on a
scheduled
Monday,
shift.
We worked our 8-hour shift, we go home. He calls me up at 7 o'clock. But I'm scheduled for a day off the next day. So from 7, we'll just say I work 6 hours. That's 6 hours overtime. Even though I have a day off tomorrow, I'm running into tomorrow, cause it's after midnight, but I still get 6 hours overtime, cause I work my 8 hours. It's the simplest way, I think, math-wise and logically, then you have to now, if I worked 8 hours, but yet now at the end of the week, those 7 hours I worked overtime, I gotta take 4 hours out somewhere along the line to get the 40. So instead of getting the 7 hours overtime, I'm only getting 3, cause I had to take 4 hours, put it to straight time to hit the 40. It happens more than you think. You got that stuff? Go get it. Maybe.
I
and
know,
like
no,
said,
I
that-
know exactly what you're saying.
So, it's how it's listed on your check, holiday, or a vacation, or, but yeah,
I believe that would be following this handbook guidelines.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it
It
would.
doesn't sound like there's any errors in what's going on. It's
Right,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is it, like he said, it's, we're here, we come in, we wanna do it, but yet if we're not gonna get the compensation too, it's like, puts a little damper in. You know, especially if he calls us out 2-3 times. depending
But
on.
you're still getting compensated, you're just saying you should get the
The
time and
over-
a half, even though,
And that's why I said, to make it real simple, it's either after 8 hours or after 10 hours if we're on a 4-day work week. That way it takes the
it
confusion
seems
out.
like we discussed this at our workshop a couple of years ago. And it was, I thought we looked into it, and that, this was in accordance with, the Department of Labor.
Yeah, no, it's not that this is wrong.
Oh, no,
It's just
no.
how
Yeah.
they're saying how,
Yeah.
you know, their opinion on how
Yeah,
it could be
could
better.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah, both, when you say Department of Labor, both state and federal government guidelines are that overtime is based on a 40-hour week.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm not saying the procedure is
Mhm.
wrong.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's, I'll
This
run
is
in,
where
I'll run
you-
into
This is
it.
your suggestion of
Yeah.
improvement. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And I second it, I just think that, to me, personally, I think, when I think of overtime, I think when I stay beyond my shift. Right, cause people have scheduled to work an 8 or 10-hour shift, anything beyond that is beyond their shift, it's overtime. And
But then
I
the
agree with that.
hours worked versus you getting after 6 months a week's vacation.
Mhm.
If you were to work 40 hours that week, my calculations, I think it's 1.587.
538, yeah.
538, yeah.
So if you did that, if you worked every week for 52 weeks, that
538.
1.587, I think it equals up to what, 80? 80
You
hours?
wrote 80 hours here.
Yeah, so it equals up to,
Which is
it is
2
2 weeks
weeks.
vacation.
Yeah.
So, in other words, in order for me to get a vacation, I gotta come into work every day
Well,
and work the
Yeah.
40 hours,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
So, that first
Same
year,
thing, right?
that
Well, no,
first year,
yeah.
I'd be getting 2 weeks vacation, or PTO time.
Well, you
So as a private business owner, I like the accrual method better
Yeah.
myself, cause then you're getting rewarded for each hour
right.
worked. But
Right.
in this end of it, it seems like you're getting more without that requirement, even though if you don't come to work, you're, you know, not gonna be working, you know, too much longer.
Right.
Well,
You
when
know,
it comes
depending
to
on
work
what the
ethics, I'm
scenario
old
is,
school.
yeah.
Don't
No, I
matter
know,
if
but
I
it-
got a broken arm or what,
Yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna get
you.
a paycheck, yes,
Yeah.
I get that part. But again, if, and it's the other departments, that's what they're all going to.
Yeah,
So if you know, you went to Greenville, you went to Mason, or what, that's part of their incentive plan for you.
alright.
I'll
Yeah, and a
ask
lot of
them
these we can
again.
take in tonight, and then
Oh,
it'll actually
I'm not,
be
yeah.
potentially be a part of the budget discussion in 6 months or so. Cause we had already budgeted this year for what we have.
Oh, and trust me, when he came over and I had to sign the pay, increase, I appreciate it totally,
Mm.
it. How do you feel when your employer comes up to you and say, here's your raise, instead of you going in the office and saying, listen, I've been here 6 months, we talked about me being
Yeah.
here to go to cause and that was the other thing, I thought it was after 90. Till I read the policy, it was after 6 months, cause I have it on my calendar on my
Yeah.
phone, CP, 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because when I sat down to talk to him, I asked for this much.
right.
He shook his head and said, they're not gonna go, but I said, that's fine, I'll make you a deal. Until you can see what I can do, I'll take that much.
Mhm.
But I will be back in the office after 90 days, just as a review. But then I read the handbook and it was 6 months, I'm like, shit. All right, so I gotta wait 6 months now.
Yeah,
Well, I think you can ask for a review.
yeah.
There wouldn't be any problem with asking for a review, would there be?
Are you talking about a performance review?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what he's.
Oh, we haven't had that, have we?
No,
Not
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 in years.
run by the administrator or
Department heads.
department heads or select boards, so that's another aspect that we're looking at
And again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah.
I'm just,
No, in fact, it's listed,
yeah.
and it is something that I say recent times.
and that's only
We've
because-
really started to think we need to take this serious.
Yeah,
The employee review.
I see Pete's frustration by not being able to get somebody. Or if they do have somebody come in, as soon as they hear, what, you don't pay insurance? or you don't do this,
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
you know.
We-
I watched
we-
Mason go through 4 applicants before they turned around and had a special meeting and said, we have to pay 100%.
So in that after 8 or after your scheduled shift, that wouldn't necessarily work for someone like Jen. You know, she comes in
That was
at
the
8
case,
in
you'd
the
be
morning.
paying me overtime every day.
I know. So, you know, 'cause she comes in at,
Yeah.
you know, 8 or 9 in the morning and then works and
There
does
is a
the
lot
planning
to
board
think
meeting
about.
till, it's not, so you guys, it would work fine. Because when you punch
She has
in,
all the special meetings.
you have schedule, well, you have your scheduled time and then you're done. And then anything you do over that is overtime, but for her, she knows I have a meeting this week and I can't go over 40 hours, like she really, I mean, we kinda discourage overtime if you know, try to get it done in what you can, in the town office anyway. You know what I mean? It's not, I mean, you guys are,
Well, it's like what we do.
well, I mean, it's
We'll leave
what,
at 3 o'clock because we don't take a lunch.
right, but you guys' jobs affect people's lives. You know, planning
So
board and
does hers.
conservation and building department.
Yeah.
No,
To
no,
a
I
different
mean,
degree.
Yeah.
no, and I'm talking immediately, like ice on the roads
safety,
or
yeah.
snowstorms or
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what
public safety.
I don't understand though, because overtime normally is, if you've worked your 40 hours. So if they're working their regular scheduled day, which is, you know, 8 hours or 9 hours a day, and if they're doing that and then getting overtime after their shift, they should be getting overtime because they've already, that working over the shift will bring them over that 40 hours.
The only hiccup
If
to
they
that
work
is-
the whole week.
Yeah, the only hiccup to that is if they didn't take a vacation day, a holiday, or a
Right.
personal day. So if that language
Or a
is
sick
changed to
day.
count towards hours worked, then we're covered. And like I said, my guys are going, all of a sudden they have 3 hours overtime. They got forced to stay, but they have a vacation the next day, and instead of having an 8-hour vacation, they get 4, and 6, 4, 5, I mean,
Right,
and then so they
right.
back their vacation time back. So instead of using 8 vacation time, they only use 5 vacation, but then they get straight time, and no overtime, even
Right.
though they worked overtime.
I know it's verbiage.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah. So
I know my guys are, you know, they bring it up, they're like, well, you know, I was forced to stay and don't get, you know,
yeah.
And again, I'm not the one to use the word force.
yeah.
We have to finish the job.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
So I guess
We
then,
had a road open today to do a culvert. We worked right through our lunch, only because we gotta open the road again. Now, if we would've took a lunch, one, the road's gonna be down for an extra half hour or more, which this
Right.
road wasn't too bad, but most of your roads, you gotta keep one lane open,
Right.
you know, just for emergencies only.
Right.
But that
So-
should be calculated into their regular hour, that they didn't take a lunch.
Yes.
Right.
They don't take an hour lunch.
We only get,
They
yeah,
only
we don't
take a
even
half
get paid
hour.
for a half hour lunch, but
What?
Right,
7 to 3:30.
Yeah.
yeah, half an hour lunch.
That's not, that's 8.5 hours. We get paid 8 hours,
Oh.
Yeah.
right?
But on, yeah. Okay. On your
So they
time.
We
get-
don't
on
get
your
paid
ti-
for lunch.
On
you
your
know?
time cards, you don't.
you're right.
But
On your time cards, you don't
Pete,
put up like everybody
real-
here
you know,
takes up. They put in the time that
during
they
the
were
winter,
open for lunch.
if we put in some serious hours, it's not gonna leave at noon time on a Friday. You know, cause we already have our 40 plus whatever, if everything's caught up, you know, instead of getting more overtime.
Gotta get rest too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can't be exhausted.
So, it, to me, and the overall picture of it, just seems a better way or a better plan.
He lost it.
I start digging because I'm gonna go to the hospital.
You
My
alright?
wife's there.
Is she okay?
What?
Her neck swelled up at the dentist office.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
All right, good luck.
no.
Uh-oh.
So, and before
Hope he has good insurance.
I get a paycheck 1 week and you see that some of the hours had to go towards the
Thanks.
40, just bringing it up in the.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. So, and I know that it's done all different ways,
Mm.
so, yeah. I believe we both, or,
Just food for thought.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I believe we get it.
I have seen companies that do over 8, but most of them are over 40 that I've seen. I don't know about towns, I'm talking about
Yeah.
public
Alright.
sector, I guess.
Private.
Private sector, whatever, yeah.
Which normally follows federal and state.
Right.
Before we
I believe we touched on everything on your list. Like I said, a lot of it can't be changed because it has to do with money at this point, and that's all been calculated out for the year.
I'm very
So,
familiar
yeah.
from Brookline,
Yeah,
well into,
yeah,
You're well
The
into
budget.
wheels turning slowly.
yeah. And then just another food for thought, I don't know, and again, I tell Pete 1,000 times a day, I don't mean to step on his toes, I don't mean to tell him his job, I just, in case he didn't think of it or whatever, in September, your trucks are gonna need stickers. How many are you gonna get it? Trucks are in rough shape. You know, these are
alright,
things where we would love, as
I know a guy.
DPW, grab one of you guys for a day and see what we have to go through.
Huh?
That's
Things
me.
that break down, things, you know,
Yeah, we've talked about inspections coming up. And
what, you know, what's gonna happen if all of a sudden 4 of them can't get stickers? You're down 4 vehicles.
Hmm.
I know 2 that are really
Mm.
on the fence. These are things that,
yeah,
you know, and like I asked Pete about the, trying to think of the right phrase.
Serious?
Serious?
Not you.
Oh, the state bids
Night.
to get on the 5-year rotation. It's almost like a lease, but yet at the end of the lease, either you trade it in, keep it, or you move on to the next one.
yeah,
Most of your DPWs are doing that because the trucks can't last in this weather. They can't, no matter how much maintenance you keep up on them, they just take a total abuse,
alright.
you
I know that,
When they bought these,
a couple of years ago, we have our, only municipal lease purchase, going right now. I think that's going pretty good, cause then we just get the budget for $25,000 a year, and, we have a nice, piece of equipment. And
Yep.
I believe it's for 5 years, and,
whatever department it is,
Yeah.
he can have his own capital fund, he can have his own capital fund instead of putting it in like the general fund,
yeah,
you know? It just gives him a little bit more leeway to be able to purchase things.
Well, there
Yeah.
is a capital fund for that already.
no, there is, yeah,
And we did it that, 5-year thing when we did the CIP.
Like the stainless steel
Mm.
bodies that you got on the truck. It's a good concept, but I think
Yep.
you're paying way too much money when you're gonna trade the truck in or get rid of it in 5 years.
Well, the
You
price of trucks now are just sky high.
oh yeah.
Since COVID, yes, and then with the deaf system,
Yeah.
it,
Because, we used to be able to get away with putting $25,000 in, let's say,
Aside.
for a cruiser, and now that's up to 40, 50,000.
how many hoses did we do
60,000.
just this winter?
65, capital.
65,
Yeah. Hydraulic hoses alone, I bet you he blew his budget in that.
Yeah.
Now you figure if the truck needs tires, now this is just maintenance.
yeah,
One of them, pickup trucks, we can really need.
Now with the rod.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Back to
we
the
can circle
handbook.
this back to the handbook. I appreciate the additional information though. Those are all points of conversation,
Yep.
to hear from Pete, cause we have been addressing numerous different, vehicle things and pieces of equipment down at DPW regularly. So if there's anything else, yeah. Alright. Excellent, Jennifer. Did you make one of the lists, or did you have any input that you wanted us to consider?
Yeah, that's that, this one.
Mine
Okay.
is more correctional issues than, anything.
Okay,
Clearly no one vetted that handbook.
So what?
Edited, whatever, reviewed it.
Oh. Well,
It's clarification, I think, more than.
yeah,
So DPW side all set?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, you guys don't have to stay. What you guys suggested, we've gone over, but there are suggestions from other employees
Okay,
for
I
the
just gotta use the
handbook,
restroom.
so yeah,
Yeah.
you can stay, you can go, it's up to you.
Got yeah, no.
Yeah.
Good
Thanks,
evening.
Scott.
Thanks for coming in.
This is what I heard. No, it's basically the same as the one that you gave me.
Yeah, where did you get this one?
I had this in, when they were reviewing it in 2021.
Hers says,
And I put that that's the current one.
employee handbook adopted November 2011, revised 2014, and
PPO account.
2020.
Paid leave.
I don't know where this one is. I've
When we
never
were
seen it.
going over this in 2021,
Well,
I
that's
think,
still the draft.
Oh, this
Yeah,
one
it's
says
still a
draft.
draft.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that one around.
because,
Okay.
yeah, because this one was one that we would
Paid time off, then they would
It
take
was-
those out.
We
be
gotta
in
pick one
review.
and
It's a
say,
can of
yes,
worms.
this
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
one.
But
Now,
that extra time is.
6 months from now, we're gonna talk about maybe what we should change it.
Oh,
But we first have to establish which
I'd
one
look at
we're
it.
using.
Yeah, seriously.
I tried to do that, and then
That
that
was
copy
the-
came
The
out.
The one that I have in the Dropbox for department heads is that one,
This one.
because that is the one that is the last one that I saw
That was signed off on.
that was signed off on,
What year was that one?
2014.
Yeah, so I've never seen that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have 2011.
This one is just
I've
a
only
draft.
issued 2011. I've only ever seen.
I sent it out when I
I know,
was-
but I've never seen the signed one.
Oh,
That said it's been adopted.
This is why we're having this
Yeah.
meeting
Mhm.
primarily.
Yeah, I've never seen official paperwork that said this is an adopted
Right.
yeah.
So
handbook.
trying to get one signed off and
Yeah.
adopted, and then,
I'm trying to
and
find
then
one.
workshop it.
The only
Yeah.
one that I could find that had a signature on it was 2011.
And that was signed by the whole board.
hmm
Yeah.
I couldn't, in the computer, I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Like, when you guys sign stuff, I scan it and save it to wherever it needs to be saved.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything with selectmen signatures for an employee handbook in the
Yeah.
computer.
And then there was that one from 2019 that you mentioned.
And that all says draft all over it, it's not signed.
Yeah.
There's, corrections and edits in it. So I was like,
It
I'm
was
not
just a
even
work
gonna
in
look at
progress
that
with
one, right,
with ideas.
but. Okay. So, part of what Jen wrote was the holiday thing. It says the town will grant time off to all employees on the holidays listed below. Lists the holidays, and then it says, underneath that, it says will grant paid time off to all full-time eligible employees. So,
Yeah.
which is it? Is it all employees, or is it full-time eligible employees?
What page is that one?
29.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Jen just sent.
Well,
copy
that
and
was
pasted
another
out.
thing. It is listed as page 29 on the table of contents, but it's actually page 28.
Not on mine. Mine's on 29.
It does?
Well, we already established it's different, Jennifer.
Yeah, we
that's-
don't all have the same.
Sorry.
copy.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the one that you sent.
Right.
Yeah, the one I
So I
sent
don't-
out to everybody is what these guys have.
But 20.
It isn't?
You must have, is,
Oh, it is?
but I don't think Peter has the one I emailed. You have one that you
No,
found in
this
your
is-
office.
This is one that I had personally at home.
Oh,
Dad got one and I got
okay.
it.
See, I didn't even get one of my
We got one now.
I got 3 of them.
And they're all different.
They're all different.
Alright, so,
We should have all 3 copies in front of us. So we
So
can
that feels
compare
like-
them and say which one is the best
Well-
one here.
I did compare the one that I have current as a draft for the 2020 last revision with the one that Debbie sent, and they are very similar,
But they're not the same.
but they're not the same.
yeah.
I
So,
didn't read it verbatim page to page.
Yeah, so right now we're working off the 2014 copy, and that's what we're basing everything off
really?
of. Yeah, cause none of that work for the 2020 draft one
hey,
was adopted.
It was never signed off on.
Okay, but the one that Debbie sent is revised 7/17/14, last printed 4/29/19, effective July 17th, 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
This
the one
one
you have?
says,
Yeah,
this
that's-
one says effective date July 1st, 2014.
First?
that's not,
This one.
that's what I sent.
This is what you said.
That's not what I sent. I've never seen that on the bottom.
No, that's the same thing we have.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Right, but the date's
Revised,
different.
last printed, but when you go on each page, it says effective
flip your page
date.
a few pages.
Each page says effective date July 1st, whatever with that.
Anyways.
It's so long ago
Oh,
that we don't
gotcha,
really
gotcha,
care
gotcha.
which
Okay.
day it was.
I see, now I
Yeah.
understand, okay,
Yeah.
Alright,
okay.
But to all employees, I think, I was trying to find the part-time employee. Do we have,
I don't think so.
No,
not in this one?
No,
Nothing to do with part-time
I've
employees.
never seen a part-time employee thing.
no, it's not broken down by part-time, full-time.
Isn't there a thing there though that says
This should be a
32,
glossary.
32 right? So 32 hours is considered full-time.
But
Yeah,
yet,
right
For
here,
health
Article 2
insurance.
will tell you what the,
but yet that got changed to 35, didn't it?
No, 35, 32,
Allows benefits.
no. 35 allows New Hampshire retirement. 32 is considered full-time, eligible for benefits, not New Hampshire retirement. 35 is eligible for the benefits plus New Hampshire retirement.
And that
That's a
is
New
not
Hampshire
in here.
retirement rule, is the 35.
Okay,
So I should
but
probably.
that is
yeah,
not in here.
Yeah, what terminology?
What do you
Yeah, it
consider
says
part-time
right here.
employee?
Anything under
Where are you,
32.
Jason?
in our, page 7 on this,
Oh, based upon what they said.
full-time employees, get paid time and a half and are eligible for the holidays. Part-time employees, if time in excess of 40 hours will be paid at time and a half, but no compensatory time or benefits will be provided. What
So,
does that mean?
the
Are
select-
holidays a benefit?
Right, I mean, to me, benefits are health insurance and like all the insurances and retirement,
And that's anybody that works less than 32 hours,
Yeah.
right,
so is considered a part-time employee.
right.
So that is spelled out in
Yeah.
here.
But it doesn't,
When I had a business, and I was comparing myself with other businesses, that would be part of the benefits package is what paid holidays you offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be considered a benefit if
Right.
I
Mhm.
pay you.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Anything other
So-
than your,
The part-time never got any vacation, PTO, sick, holidays, anything.
Yeah.
Until a few years ago, the select board agreed to have part-time get PTO time up to what, if your work week is 20 hours, then you'd get 20 hours a year of PTO time. If your work week is 30 hours, you'd get 30 hours of PTO time. If you work 10, you get 10. But nobody can remember if it was also agreed on that part-timers would get holidays. So we need that clarified. And we need to add in the handbook that part-time gets the PTO time.
And we should have, if that is gonna be added to the handbook, we need the minutes of that meeting.
That might be an issue. We'll have to go watch videos and do minutes.
Cause when was that done?
The year of the blank,
when there was a prior town
29.
meeting.
when their minutes weren't being done and, yeah. So hopefully the video worked that day.
So
And
it was
then
in
when
the
you
teens, the 20 teens sometime?
No, it was
was that?
2021. 2021.
Like that was a part of that period when you first came on to the board, where minutes were being
Not
stored, I guess, for lack of a better word, and being safe to do later at some other date. And then that person had left, and we were trying to rebuild it, and there's only so many recordings and videos, because sometimes the videos don't upload to the internet, and so at a point
No, I-
decided to keep current instead of trying to dig
Well,
all
it
the way
was,
back,
cause
yeah.
we weren't keeping current then, we were falling behind with current.
Yeah.
It became
Yeah.
more pressing
Sup?
to us.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't put it in there.
Oh. I didn't want to interrupt the meeting.
Sorry.
Hey, gentlemen,
Hello!
Evening.
I know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Do you happen to have that? I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh
right
my
now.
God, excuse me one sec.
Yeah. So you know what yours is, right? It's up in kind of the right hand side. I apologize for interrupting.
more suggestions.
Yeah.
So then I'm wondering on the being eligible for New Hampshire retirement after 35, would that be put in here then too? Or
That would be a state, isn't that a state mandate?
It's the natural retirement system policy, right? It's in-
Yeah.
But I think it'd be good to have in the handbook, just so you know where you stand,
Mhm.
right? So if your threshold is 35 hours a week, and you're getting 35 hours a week, you become eligible for retirement. That just makes it clear,
Mhm.
benefits. Cause you may choose to hire somebody at 35 hours a week. You know, it'll save a few hours a week in pay, but still get them into the New Hampshire retirement system, and they'll be categorized as a full-time employee.
Mhm.
Sneak out.
Oh, so good night, Joe.
Great seeing everybody.
Yeah,
Hey,
this is
go ahead.
good luck.
Yeah, that is a question, how many
Sorry about that.
state or federally mandated things should we piggyback on? Cause if the state retirement system is already a part of the
Yeah.
program when you join a work for a municipality, why
You
would
guys
we
still
have
have to pay into it though.
What's
You'd have
that?
to- You'd have to pay into it.
Well, we do, no,
Mhm.
whether it's in the handbook or not,
Right.
Yeah, and a new employee may not know
that they have to
that
opt
that's a
in.
benefit of working 35 hours. Because this is really an employee's Bible, this is what
Yeah.
their
Yeah, this is
job
where
is
you,
about.
Like I said, I thought a review after 90 days, but your policies are 6 months. That was a shock to me. And then I find out there's 3 versions going around. Again, I understand.
do you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
trust me, I've worked for Mason.
No, I know, and I've talked to other selectmen, and it would be nice to say that we're just this anomaly, but we're
You're
not.
not.
It's not, it happens
It's
everywhere.
called municipal government.
Every town has the
Has
same
something.
struggles, different
It's just-
players, different, yeah.
I'll use a prime example, the fire department. I'm on the fire department in Brookline. We have policies, procedures, but do we have a policy and procedure for one incident? No. So what happens is, you gotta make one up.
What happened?
Doesn't want me there. I ain't arguing. So, if I understood correctly, so I worked 34 hours in a week, I had a personal day at the end. I should have had 2 hours overtime, correct? Because the 8 hours personal should count as time worked,
No,
no?
no.
Not the way this handbook reads.
That's,
Then
Yeah.
that's,
right, that's, until somebody gets a paycheck like that and starts questioning it, thinking that you're gonna get the
You worked
overtime.
32 hours?
and I had a personal day.
of 8 hours personal
So-
time.
All you did was get 34 hours of straight time,
and
then the
yeah.
personal 8 hours.
Straight time.
I never gonna check it, what to do and all that.
Alright. Yeah, so the
Again, it
retirement
didn't-
section needs to be updated just to be a little bit clearer to state that it's, employees that work over 35 hours per week, right?
Mhm.
Is that, what does it say in there?
That's on page 26. It says 27 in the key there, and it's actually 26.
Paper.
This is pursuant to the RSA, and I'm sure that that is listed in there, but
Yeah, so it is, it just doesn't say you have to work 35 hours. But if you looked at RSA 100A, what would it say?
That's what I mean. There's the discrepancies. And before it happens, and it did happen,
So in December, I worked 32. I had a personal of 8, and I had overtime that week. But then this March, I worked 34, 8 hours of personal, and it was all straight time.
Well, so you got paid overtime on one instance and not the other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we changed the, accounting program.
well, the program, or even, you know, we've had, we have a new clerk too, so at that point, you know, there's a few more months
No, cause
under her belt.
Mindy was here that whole time. She's been here almost a year.
it's just, there's
Yeah.
hiccups here.
It's December and, alright, yeah.
Accounting program.
So we need to clarify that ASAP. If
Well,
it's-
it was clarified.
So,
You just had it clarified.
so the clarification is anything over 40 hours, then you get overtime.
Correct.
Yeah.
Personal, vacation, and sick do not count toward
No,
hours worked.
sick does.
Sick does not.
No.
It's-
Sick can't
It's-
count toward
Sick
hours
can't
worked.
count.
Sick
because
I
can't
thought
count.
that's what,
You weren't
Sick
working.
Where
can't
do you see
count
it?
toward hours worked. Vacation and PTO can.
Now,
And holidays.
put yourselves in our shoes right now, it's a big discouragement. You know, we're trying to do the right thing, but we're not, I don't wanna use the word not appreciated, but,
We're trying to figure it out.
oh, no, I get it, but this is
So
a
the whole
little,
thing is if you come in the next day where you are sick, you're gonna, you know, just come in and work
Put it
and
this
be
way.
over there with me and get me sick.
I was just gonna say that, is it worth, there's only 3 of us that are, and you, but if one of us gets sick, guaranteed the other's getting sick too.
Well, I mean, some people take sick time off because they don't have any vacation or PTO time off left. So they'll call out sick,
Right?
knowing that they were gonna take that day off
And
anyway.
how's an easy fix for that?
oh,
Earn
sorry.
accrued hours.
Well, no, we had discussed that, combining it all as
Oh,
PTO and call it a day. So if you take a day off, you take a day off, and somebody sees you down at the market, I thought you called in sick today. No, I didn't call in sick, I had time. You know what I mean? Like, so, call
And
it all the
that would
same
probably
thing.
be Easier to track it that way too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry,
Why
so I
don't we
thought it
just
was
kinda-
the holiday pay, so yeah, sick isn't,
Right.
yeah. The only
So,
one is holiday, and that's it,
so the only thing that counts toward time worked is holiday.
It's holiday.
correct.
Okay.
So you can't use a PTO, you can't use a sick day, so it's like, and then throw a holiday in there,
Why
you know,
can't
like,
you use them?
what's that?
Why can't you use them?
To try to get the overtime.
Oh,
If I would've I have it all written out for Masons.
So
I
how-
took the week of Christmas off 1 week.
So you're
that
saying
year,
how they work
and we-
40 hours?
Yes.
Holiday pay here, it says it counts, but that's the only
No, I can understand it, we could just keep going round and
I
round
know.
on this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we already had.
So I just
yeah.
wanted clarification,
So
so,
consider yourself lucky, I guess, in that
Yeah.
instance.
On one
Yeah.
and not on the other, right?
Well, no, the other
Oh, no,
one
the other
was,
one's right.
was,
Right.
was right, yeah, yeah,
alright, so the only thing that counts toward time worked is holiday pay.
yes.
So, unless there's a holiday in a week, you're not getting overtime if you took any vacation, sick, PTO.
Well, not necessarily, because if someone took one vacation day but then worked 10 hours another day and has
Well,
got
if
42,
you, so
Then
if
they
you
could
work,
get 2 hours.
yeah,
overtime.
like this doesn't make, because they would have worked actually 42 hours in that week, and
plus 8 hours
then plus
of
8
vacation
of straight time. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it would work.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'd get 2 hours,
correct, because it's only the hours that you actually physically work
okay,
or present at your
Okay.
job.
Yeah, but it's
Alright.
very inconsistent. So my guys would, in that scenario, they would say, well, no, we're just taking back we'll give you back your 8 hours of vacation time. You're not getting paid any more than your 40 hours. That's happened to us so many times
recently?
since I've been here.
Oh, I'm
Can you
talking-
repeat that again?
I'm talking.
So in
Yes,
that
yes, yeah.
scenario,
Yeah,
so the scenario would be, I'm scheduled for 40. I work 32, I take an 8-hour personal day, that's 40. Then if for some reason I come in and work an 8-hour overtime shift, it's 50 hours total pay, right?
well, no,
That
you're,
week.
you're replacing one day for another. So instead of working on Friday for that 8-hour shift, you decide to take Friday off and then come in for a Saturday, so you can get your full week, plus you get 8 hours of vacation pay. And yeah, it's
But
not,
no
it's not,
overtime.
it's not overtime.
There's no
You
overtime.
you didn't
But I'm
actually
saying
work.
is
So,
not
You're
even
talking
getting that.
overtime.
No.
They're
What?
just saying, hey, we're just gonna, you know, that 8 hours of vacation you took, now it's vapor, you only work 4 days. You get 40 hours, done. So instead of, say I had 40 hours of vacation.
this is the vapor part. You're losing me, Mike.
Yeah,
I just,
so
I understand what you're saying.
I'm
So
saying is,
your guys worked, say they worked 32 hours, they took a day off, and then they got called in the following day
yeah,
and did 8 hours. They're taking the 8 vacation,
Back.
giving it back to them,
To
and
their
only
bank.
paying for the 4
and just
day
getting a
work.
4-hour paycheck.
They're not
But
getting
it's
that.
not giving back anything.
Yeah,
That's where I don't understand, because
so why would you work 40,
before,
I get what he's saying.
so that is a real thing that happens.
Yes.
That doesn't make any. That would be a choice for the employee to
No, they
have
haven't had
that.
a choice. That's what I'm saying, is like.
He doesn't
that-
give them one, you gotta come in.
Right, yeah, no, I'm just saying that it's been happening.
Because if you took a vacation day that day and then came in, you'd still be eligible to get that straight pay time, like to make up that.
for both days.
So
Yeah,
then you'd
so
get 48 hours of straight pay.
And that's not happening.
What's happening?
That's not happening. They're not getting the 48. They're getting the 40, and they're giving them back their 8 hours of vacation time that they
Who's
took.
they?
The town. County.
Take the day another
So-
time.
Isn't
Basically.
Oh, I get it, so
No, but
basically, I
That is-
won't put you down as a
They-
vacation
right.
day,
Right.
I'll put you down as a day worked, so then they're thinking that that's a benefit, because then you'll have another vacation.
You have
day.
another,
I
right.
don't,
But it shouldn't
But
be
if
to
you
that
don't
my
way.
keep
knowledge,
track,
that
you lose
hasn't been done
Right,
unless the employee was contacted. Do you want the 48 hours of pay or straight time, or do you want the day do you want us to
Yeah,
not
'cause
take
this
the-
sounds
So
very much
the
to me
8
like it
hours.
would be
so
up to you guys.
Yeah,
in your
Cause you
up to
sign
the
the time
employee.
cards,
Right.
and if,
Mike.
if they if somebody wanted to have one of their days a paid day,
right.
I don't think anyone in this office is authorized to
Yeah,
reject that.
to my knowledge, if that was the case, she would call the employee.
when
When
they
does
fill
the
out
work
their
week start?
timesheet,
Well,
so
it
say
varies.
Monday, Tuesday,
Sunday for us.
Wednesday they took a personal day.
Yep.
Now Wednesday, they also had to come in for 4 hours. So you know when you put the time down on the timesheet,
Right.
it should have been personal day
It is.
plus
Yep.
4 hours worked.
Right.
And then Thursday, Friday, whatever.
So what we've seen is they were like, you can put down what you want on the paper, you're getting 40 hours. And we've been, I've been here for 7
And
years.
you have no policy to go
Alright,
back and fall onto.
I wanna know in the past year, say, has that happened?
Sure.
Really?
Yep.
I want you to tell me about these.
Hold on.
Because
This
I
was in
have
a staff
not-
meeting first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, it was, if that happened, that they had PTO time and,
One of the first times I think I've actually seen that work the way it's just been described was within the last month or two. That I've actually seen somebody get 42 hours of straight time because they used personal time.
right,
The first time I've seen it in 7 years that I've been here.
That was-
All the other times they just pulled back the holiday.
Because So that would be
I've
by
never
default,
seen
like
that.
the way that we, like spoke about it,
Right.
would be the default, and it wouldn't, just because the clerk is looking at something and sees, oh, they took personal time, do they, for this day, do they wanna claw some of that back, or however the conversation.
Right.
No, that's not the trigger. The trigger is, the employee asking for that. Like, and automatically you would assume that it would be paid.
Right, cause the
that way,
employee
it's
signs
straight
the
time.
time card,
Right,
can't just,
No,
and the hours
Give
are
back
there.
vacation.
I sign my time card when I do come in on a Monday morning. It's a habit I have, but I know what you're saying.
I will
mean,
try to, so my time
Trying
card
to
may,
think
one
of
thing,
something
you're
as
gonna
well.
have to compare it to your accounting, right? Cause I said,
Right.
like she said, the time card gets filled out exactly how it should,
right,
right? With the personal time and the time
Right.
off and the hours worked, and
And the hours worked should reflect that overtime.
it's not over, well, yeah, we're getting pretty.
It should
Yeah.
reflect
Let me see if I can
40 hours
Okay,
plus whatever.
so-
Right.
Yeah.
whatever's happened, we need to offline talk about
Let's
this,
make this
because
easy.
that's not, we don't even
Oh,
need to.
Yeah.
Alright,
It's all
Yeah.
personal, whatever, that has nothing to do with the handbook, how somebody gets paid, when,
it
how,
actually does, because.
Well,
you
it
have-
does and it doesn't, we
you-
don't
I
know
have
what's,
nothing to
That's
go
not
back
in
on
the
now.
handbook.
you do, the only thing that counts to a time
Is
worked is a holiday,
then next time, then, I was just gonna say, you work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 hours. Christmas falls on Thursday, right?
yeah,
I have, using 8 hours, I'm taking the day after Christmas off.
yeah,
We got a snowstorm, I gotta come in.
yeah,
Yeah,
I only work 3 days.
4.
four,
'cause you
No.
have-
yes,
If
the
you count the
holiday
hol-
counts
the
as
holiday.
a time.
So that's still 32 hours,
Yeah,
okay? So now I gotta come in on a Saturday.
yeah. And you get
That
paid
should
for
be
it,
overtime.
in your
Right.
opinion, yeah. But according to the hand, so that's why I said, we can continue to do this for the next 6 or 8 hours or days,
I'm all
No,
set.
but it's like, it's all
I
the.
need, you have to
We need to
understand,
make a
what we've
decision.
already,
But what you spoke about is different than what Chief has spoken about. Is the scenario is a bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you clarified.
Yeah,
Like it's a different issue. And some of the things, like I said earlier, that you are recommending, and I don't mean that, I'm not coming off as condescending, I hope, or anything like that. But it's just we literally have to wait until budget season and see where all the numbers and everything, start to go. And if we can incorporate a different benefits package and actually have an assessment of what's this going to cost the town, the community, and then what's the benefit to the community, because there is a benefit. So you've stated that, and it's very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like we have to pay 58%, you guys pay the 85.
And we have that. I do appreciate you taking the time to come in and go over everything. I just don't want to keep hitting the same
Yeah.
point.
just saying the same thing over and over in a different way. So I'm just gonna do that one more time. So as of right now, until the employee handbook is updated, signed, and a new version is put out, the only thing that counts toward time worked is holiday or actual time worked.
Yeah.
Anything else,
Your 2 floaters are considered
Is-
a holiday.
Correct.
Yes.
correct,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes. Alright, so we got one thing hammered out.
That's the way I've always understood it.
Okay, I always understood it as,
That's
never mind, I'm not gonna say it again.
Oh, wait, that's good.
Oh, just me and you gotta talk tomorrow.
So the other point,
I have appointments all day. I really do at 3:00. I can't do anything, but
Oh, I wasn't seeing you at 3, it would've been before
So
then.
why don't you just call the rest of the stuff personal paid leave?
well, that's what you guys are deciding. Are we gonna call it all per?
we're not going to decide
But we're
that
not doing
tonight.
that tonight.
Please don't.
Right.
Please don't.
Whatever you
2025.
decide it's going to be, just call it personal paid leave because it goes under a different set of rules.
And that's a whole other discussion
Mhm.
after we sign off on this.
We're trying to.
I
we're
think
trying to
as
figure
we
this
can
out.
see,
Yeah.
any changes done to this is going to cause ripples, and we would like to keep it very minimal. If possible, have no changes done, right?
What?
Yeah, just clarifications.
Clarifications if needed, but really not to revamp the manual at this point in time. We have a fixed budget, we have something that people somewhat understand. And then if we start,
This would be more like for 2025, right?
these are ideas on how to improve it, but to do it,
For a later
it
time.
takes a lot,
Yeah.
as we can see, just to discuss it.
One
bring
little
up-
topic, it's been,
Yeah, one little topic
An hour
of
and a half.
overtime, and then we have these different scenarios with the DPW, the PD, and the clerks who have to come in at night. And how do you?
yeah, you
That's too
can't have
much.
a
Yeah.
blanket thing for everyone.
So, make it easier if I were to bring in somebody else's policy and procedure, take the heading off it, just so you guys could see something in black and white.
I
Well,
have,
no.
She's
we
set-
Oh,
have
do you-
7 other
Oh,
towns.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
Yeah, so that compiling's
No, that's
begun, to look at how
I have
it
to,
could be
they're
different.
gonna hate me then.
Yeah. No, it's not,
No, not at all.
No.
So this here was not just cobbled together by the selectmen on Saturday night. This was reviewed by lawyers and all of that, the whole 9 yards, just like the other towns. So, just so you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't. And we
So-
didn't draft it.
No.
Was that the bell?
That's my
Okay.
fault.
Oh, sorry, alright. So is there anything that you wanted to take, us to take special note of, Jennifer, on your list?
Just corrections, such as the criminal record. There isn't any verbiage in the employee handbook that the town or the employee will be responsible for that cost. It was just something that I thought of, but
and I feel like we should change that to say background check, cause we do background check, we have a background check policy, we don't have a criminal record check policy, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, we should be
Yeah.
consistent in verbiage.
Yeah, 2 checks, driving and criminal.
There's 3.07, which is employee background, 3.08, which is criminal record.
Right, but we have a background check policy which includes both of those. So, like, I feel like,
Yeah, it's dated March 2015. hiring
no, we
process.
just did one this year,
Did you?
yeah.
oh, I don't even wanna go into the holiday on Saturday observed on Friday. That I was gonna mention only because,
You're still talking.
yeah.
I'm not gonna mention it.
Yeah, never mind that. That's a whole nother ballgame. That's federal and state situation. Section 410, confidential
Can
information.
you hang on one
anybody-
second?
What?
I just wanna hang on one second. And
Okay, hang on.
clarify this criminal record check thing. Should we put something in there that says the town pays for it, or if the potential employee is gonna go to Concord themselves, they pay for it and we reimburse them? Like, should something be said? If there's no verbiage in there that says anything?
Is that in our background check policy?
Yeah, that the
Yeah.
town
So
pays the
would we
cost.
have that, can we
Just copy and paste
take
that
that,
part.
like, take out, yeah, this and just put it, like, put that under background check? Like, put our policy in the handbook?
Yep.
Do you
When
think?
I was hired, I went right up there and I got
Right.
reimbursed from Deb only because it takes 3 to 5 days.
Yeah,
If you do it yourself, if you go there yourself, you
get
can
it,
get
I
it
bring it right in.
immediately.
yeah.
It doesn't take 3 to 5 days, it takes
2 to 3
upwards of 2 to 3 weeks.
weeks. Yeah, there you
Because
go.
you had to, if, depends on what day it is, Mindy has to cut the check
Alright,
and all that, so
so
it's,
no, I
it's a
can
whole,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Lou, what are your thoughts on, expanding on the background check section and including, our background check policy?
I think
Insert that whole thing.
personally that,
Yeah.
the background check should be performed by us rather than having a person go up and do it. Because we're responsible for the information on there, and we don't know that lost time that a person doing it by themselves and coming back, what may happen and what liability we have if some of that information gets out.
What?
Did I lose you on that?
If the
He
person
lost
does
me.
it
Well,
themselves,
he
it's their
asked-
responsibility.
About putting our whole background check policy that you guys just approved a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
just put that whole thing right in the handbook.
Okay, but again, the only part of that was that background policy check had that two options on getting it only had the one for the town, fine, then just do that.
Okay.
Jason, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to see how wordy it was. I'm trying to dig it out.
Well, I think it's pretty clear.
But it,
Yeah.
It's one page, I believe. I think, yeah.
yeah, I just don't wanna add another 4 pages to our.
Well, it's either put it here or make them reference it some other way, some
If it
other
was
how.
if there was a reference given to it.
Yeah,
If it has a, that's all I'm saying, someone
Yeah.
said they picked this up and they're like, holy mackerel, I'm supposed to read all this.
Yeah.
So, the less
Well, it's
there
not even
is-
necessarily read it ahead of time, but as scenarios come up in life, you'd have something clear to go back
Mhm.
towards.
right,
My thoughts are, this is a book of policies, and one that we have pretty clear. I figured there'd be value to, put it right in there. So, people don't have to
Yeah.
search around, cause at some point, they're gonna
And-
need to find it.
In that case, I would just take Jennifer's recommendation. Just say town will pay or compensate for background checks. That's how I would like to see it. It's very simple.
and the only thing I'm against is that compensate, because that means that somebody else is paying for it and getting the background check done, and you don't know if that you've lost that control over it as being tied to one location. Meaning one responsibility, the town itself.
So
But
the
all
employee,
background checks are very verifiable, are they not?
yeah,
They have
Well,
seals.
so the employee themselves would
Deb has
go.
to sign
Like,
paper
I
for
wouldn't
me
go-
to go up.
If he gave me his paper, I can't go to Concord and get his information. He would have to go himself, prove that it's him. They would give him his report right then and there.
So you as town cannot request the background check from Concord?
No, we have to have a signed form from him,
Well, you gotta sign a form. Okay, well, what
and
I'm
we
saying is-
send it with a check. I can't take that form to get it done faster. I can't, no one but the person whose background check it is can get it from Concord.
And that's where, I guess I didn't make myself clear enough.
No,
The
I'm
part
lost.
about getting it faster, that should be irrespective, because in part of getting it faster, you've lost control over that background check for the period of time that it's taking for the person to bring it back, or 3 weeks later, or whatever it
No.
takes.
No, he,
Well, no, when he said, because the background checks get mailed to us when we request them.
right, we
like
have to mail
after.
out a check, then they do the
Okay.
background check, and then they mail it back to us. That takes like anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how it hits on a check schedule. If a person, like, I think it was you, right?
I wanted to.
So we needed to get him started like as soon as
Expedited.
possible.
Mhm.
So he filled out the background check thing, he brought it to Concord, handed it
Paid out
to
of
them
my
that
pocket.
day,
Okay,
they printed it out for him, and he brought it back that day. It's only in cases of we wanna hire somebody really quickly, it's the same report, it's just that person is going to Concord and getting that printed out right away, as opposed to waiting 2 to 4 weeks to get that information back, cause you can't hire him if you don't have the background check back.
right.
And our criminal
So-
background check is different than if the chief hires somebody.
Right, yeah, his thing's a
It is
little
more,
separate,
yeah.
it's a
I
whole
think I
different
see
story.
Lou's point now,
Yeah, 'cause you,
I don't,
because a piece of paper from the background check could go missing when the person was driving back from the DMV.
But that's that person's responsibility.
It is that.
But, I mean, it says on the
The
bottom,
paper
it's
says
one of
two,
three,
one of
Yeah.
three.
yeah.
I know.
So if you
I
see one of
I've seen
four and you only have 3 pages, where's the last page?
Then it would be.
So, I mean, it's very, and like you said, it's very verifiable, I mean, I
You actually, you gotta go to 2 places in Concord.
can, right,
That was your point.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
your point. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But I think it would be easy to catch.
yeah,
Someone would have to be reviewing it.
right,
Yeah, but that's how wordy it is. I found it.
yeah, it's not bad.
And it's not too often, Lou, that somebody
We
like
can just
me
add
wants
it to the
start
back of
tomorrow,
the handbook,
and I can't start
see
tomorrow
background check
because it
policy
was like the end of the
in-
month, I
on
wanted to
page
start.
whatever,
Start the
appendix.
first
Right,
Yeah.
other
It
than
might
that,
be best
it'll
to
be a normal
just-
Sunday.
Yeah.
acknowledge this because
Cause you got
But I'm also
Last
concerned
line.
about the part where, you know,
a document system.
somebody can
It's painful.
doctor up the
Knowledge.
document.
Like a planning
Yeah.
board.
I mean,
just
I know.
reference
All
it
over the place.
They have the
here.
same-
Reference the policy
They-
okay,
because of this last line.
okay,
Right? Would you agree?
yeah,
I mean, we could add it as an appendix to the back of the handbook. It would be included with the handbook.
But that wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be a good idea. As long
Yeah.
as this is the draft that we signed, because it ends saying this policy may be amended
Yeah,
or revised as necessary by the Board of Selectmen.
right.
So you don't want that in the handbook.
Wow.
so it makes the
The
same,
handbook
well,
is the
handbook.
same,
It's
the
the same-
handbook says the same thing.
at least it, like, referring to the policy number in here, I think, yeah, that's good,
Okay.
cause then we'll have, which policy is a part of the handbook, and if there's another policy in 2026 or 2027, whenever this gets changed, and this
Then
still
you have
says
to-
this one,
Then you have to change the handbook
yeah, you have to
every
change the
time you
number,
change a policy.
yeah.
Well, unless you
At some
just-
point you have
So-
to, yeah,
So most,
it's the same difference, really, is what I'm getting to.
but most handbooks would say, you know, refer to the background check policy, which may be amended by, you know, I forget the verbiage of it, but from time to time or something. But they all say, if they're referring to another document,
As a point of concession, I would like to end this part and just
Thank
simply
you.
put the policy number
let's go home.
on there, cause we agree, like, it makes sense, there's at least a reference point in the handbook.
Okay.
And in any revamp or changes down the line, you know, we can look at arranging it different and organizing it different.
One other thing that came up earlier, and I just wanna make note of it, is that every workplace is supposed to have, there's these 2 sheets of paper that go up in typically a lunchroom where all the employees can see it. And it dictates that everybody is authorized a break at twice a day.
They're in the kitchen.
Yep.
It's in there?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, we have them posted.
And then
We update them
also
yearly.
the other part is that everybody must have a lunch available.
Everything's in there. There's about 20 different things that we're required by law to have posted, and they're all there.
Got any more good stuff for us, Jen?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, so this is just,
this is a good one too,
which one?
410, is that what you're gonna say?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm questioning this because I have never, when I've received a 91A request,
Yeah,
I have completed it. I have never submitted it to the town administrator. I may have asked her for help, but ever since I've started, I've never,
That's,
What's the number we're looking at?
section 410, 4:10.
so this one's 411 in the 2014,
Is that under the
Yeah,
91A
funny.
stuff?
That's
Confidential
it.
information?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2014 one.
yeah.
so, what I believe this, I don't know, where did that even come
I am
from?
assuming, this is my
Hey.
assumption only,
cause even this one's open,
It's not filled in.
It's not assigned on this one, so what you're working off probably was the decision to fill that in. Cause that, like that last draft that you have was started,
I'm going by Debbie's that
different-
she sent out.
That is
everybody.
not the one I sent, we clarified that, I thought, or
It is. These two
whatever,
aren't.
whatever, it doesn't matter. 410, confidential information, go ahead.
Okay, so it's saying that it should be forwarded to the town administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I've never done that, so should that be changed? Or what is the
So-
purpose of that?
I don't,
Just for you to review them legally, maybe?
so,
And then, go ahead.
no, I'm waiting for you to finish.
No, go ahead.
No, I tried to, I'm waiting.
I'm done.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'll start. It's my understanding that it would be the town administrator that the 91A request, not that you couldn't fulfill the request, but that request, I believe, should be processed like in a central location so that we have records of all the 91A requests that are received by any employee. So in my opinion, I believe it should go through the town administrator.
I
And
agree
that's
with
what the
that
91A
because that
policy
would put
says.
it all in the selectman's office,
Yeah,
cause that's where the buck is supposed to stop,
Right.
yeah.
And it's locked up.
So that
The
doesn't mean
selectman's
that
office, you know.
anybody else can't gather the information, but
Right.
if there's a 91A request, I could have sworn I sent that email out.
Yeah, it should, I think it's in our
It's in
new
the
policy,
91A policy,
which I have
but I
over
could have
here.
sworn I sent, or
Yeah.
maybe I didn't send it out, maybe I talked to, I don't know. I
It
think I
is
should
in
just-
that new policy that we
Yes.
drafted up.
That all 91,
And
so I didn't know if this was to do with somebody asking for personnel information, why is it in an employee handbook? I just
cause
feel like
it
that's-
gives a definition of what they should do and what's expected
With,
of them
yeah,
in that scenario.
because any employee could get a 91A request.
Right.
DPW, you know,
Right,
anybody.
yeah, I guess.
So then we put that 91A policy number at the end of it.
But
Like
if you read it, I don't know which copy you have, but it continues on. If you had the copy that calls it section 411,
Which is the 2011 version.
That's
No,
what I
my
have.
copy says 410, but
so it continues even more instructions for employees that no public official or employee shall disclose any confidential information regarding any other official, employee, board member, commission member, person, property, or governmental affairs of the town unless and until prior approval by the public body having jurisdiction or the Board of Selectmen permits disclosure. So employees are actually not authorized of themselves to submit or what do
To
you call
give out,
to give out RS 91As
information.
unless they've been given that by the Board of Selectmen or public body.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so in
Public
a, like
body.
planning board, isn't it?
Okay, so
Board,
that'd be planning board, assessors,
Yeah,
zoning board.
It'd probably be under written request.
Hmm.
Like if I wanted to see something in my personnel record and I asked Pete for it,
He's gotta give it to you. That's not
That's
even a
your own
91A.
personnel record,
but
yeah.
what I'm saying, it should still be in a written form requesting it, that way he has
Yeah.
a paper trail.
yeah.
Yeah, interesting. This has been educational, I'll have to say.
Serious.
You're always learning something on this table.
Jeez.
And a lot of it, like you said, is verbiage.
Mm.
You look at it one way, I look at it another way.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like an officer. An officer is a lieutenant, a captain, stops there, and then a deputy chief and a chief is something different.
Mm.
Yeah,
You know, it's just the verbiage.
yeah.
Oh, that's why there's attorneys,
Yeah, exactly.
to define a tree for us.
I think it's like what Summerall said, it's kinda like safety measure that as things rotate through the town body, that eventually they go through the selectman's office to make sure it's appropriate to release, and it's coming from an advantage point or a point of authority, right? Meaning
Yeah.
the town administrator or the board. And I can only correlate it to like the police department where we have a formal records request process, whether you consider it a 91A or you consider it just a copy of the police report. Ultimately, everything that goes out the door says Mike Gable, Chief of Police,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a check and balance. My employees will prepare the data, but it lands on my desk.
Mhm.
And then that's when the final authorization is made to say this is appropriate, or this needs to be redacted. So I think, is that part of what they might be trying to say
I
here?
think so, it's to
Right.
protect the employee.
Right, yep,
Yeah.
and then have final authorization.
Yeah, and,
And the way we've handled it, we've not gotten in the way or like haven't had that authorization point from the select board
Right.
seat. You know, Debbie's handled the requests.
Right, and I think
yeah.
that's appropriate, whether
Yeah.
it be the board or the town administrator.
Yeah,
Mm.
So, but it passes through that level, if you will.
yeah,
Right.
And the board can assign that task to the
Town administrator, which is probably like a normal course of business.
mhm.
Yeah.
Alright, and then you had made a note about staff meetings being removed.
No, I had a question about the annual staff meeting for all of the,
The town,
employees.
annual
I
town-wide
did
staff
not
meeting.
realize that that was actually the annual, employee appreciation thing. And I was concerned because I have never partaken in any annual meeting to review things and to see how everything is going. So I was concerned about that.
So the way, like I take it is like now you have regular staff meetings.
No.
So not a part of the cookout, because that's just,
This
Yeah,
is
but-
an annual town, it says annual townwide staff meeting. We have never had an annual townwide staff meeting.
well, it's
can we
not,
call
it's
this
not,
the first annual?
it's not community wide, like,
No.
but it's
No,
the
no,
town
no,
office
annual
wide,
staff meeting, meaning all of the staff of the town,
yeah,
fire, like this right now that you suggested everyone in the department come and discuss the employee handbook. Here we are.
Mm.
So, an
All
annual,
ya.
this to me, when I read this, was, I can't even believe this has taken this much time to, I didn't know what this was and asked if it should be removed because I have never had been involved in an annual meeting with all of the employees. And then Debbie said it's basically the employee appreciation.
Christmas party, that's what I was
So
told.
why is that even in there?
They consider it the annual staff-wide town, all staff, that's what I was told when I first started working here. The Christmas
really?
party, the Christmas party.
That's what you were told?
I was told
Oh,
is
interesting.
the annual staff meeting.
Because we've never had an annual staff meeting. Right? You gotta go?
Yeah.
I gotta go too, I'm following you right behind you.
see you later,
Hey, you have a
Peter.
good
Thanks,
night.
Peter.
You know, that's why I questioned if it should be,
I'll be good. Yeah.
See ya.
if it
That's,
should be removed, but,
oh,
because-
that's a good point.
Right?
yeah, why is it even in there?
Mm,
Well, or we could change it to where it'd be an actual annual staff meeting with the Board of Selectmen,
But it's,
like one meeting
Not
a
as-
year, like that, but
We'd
But
have
why
to
do you
schedule a
have it
whole
at
day if
all?
we're taking,
that's just a nice little
Suggestions.
benefit.
what's that?
Why even have that in here at all?
Somebody thought that it would be good,
Oh,
that's why, and I
In
can see the
2011.
wisdom in it, however, I've never seen it. unless it's
the
like
Christmas
was
party.
explained
That's
to,
what I was told.
to Debbie, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
But I can see the wisdom in it, possibly,
Yeah.
you know, the attempt to give that, open door policy and access to the selectmen or whoever you work for, building inspector, whoever it might be. I don't know.
But it's for everybody
it's
to
not.
gather in the same place
Yeah,
at the same
so-
time.
So then again, maybe that's not too wise.
Strike it.
I
Should we
don't know.
strike it? The
I don't think we
annual?
should
I
do
think-
anything to
only
it.
We'll
because
leave it
I'm
alone.
looking at it, cause this is really the first time I've ever read
Well, I appreciate
the
this.
employee handbook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went
So,
through it once.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we've never had staff meetings annually. Not even thinking of the Employee Appreciation Day, cause that to me isn't a meeting, it's a
Mhm.
bonding, get together,
Yeah, chilling.
appreciate
time.
everybody.
I'm still waiting for the DPW cookout, just saying.
Can we have warm weather first?
Oh, alright. We did
I got
last week.
hams, I can hear, bring the smoker back.
So that's
All right.
basically all I had, I guess,
Okay.
other than the Friday situation that may be a state or federal, issue. But that's it, thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for bringing this stuff
Appreciate it.
up, it was fun.
Alright, I could probably find more if I had time.
Oh, I bet you
Take
Thank you,
care.
Jennifer.
Thank you,
Bye,
Jen.
Jen.
Alright. So then whose notes are these? The notes on handbook.
That is Mindy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember going over this section 401 in our workshop that we had. And I think we all agreed with her take on that. Of course, that wasn't, Mr. Alvarez was not present there, but what's going on?
She says, they're gonna wait till I leave before they talk about me.
Oh no.
It's on camera, Jen.
Alright, I'm gonna head home, I appreciate.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks
you
for that.
spending
Thanks
your
for coming
time.
in.
May I have a word with you?
Sure.
What just happened?
Alright. So
Oh dear
I'm gonna cook dinner.
God. All right,
Have a
go
good
have
night.
dinner.
good night.
I hope your wife's okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank
Prayers
you.
thoughts to her.
Oh my
So
God.
how could we
Who's talking about people?
redefine that one? Like or to
That
put
one
that
line?
exclusion in, yeah.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Would you just maybe cross out the such as explosives or firearms and just excluded our personal protective items such as
Well, it is very vague
yeah.
and almost meaningless, cause authorized or unauthorized is not defined.
Well, this says such as explosives or firearms, so maybe take the firearms part off. That's what it, like
Yeah,
yeah, yours has it too.
Yeah.
So it does like that one
What
line.
section
it does, and when we had our workshop, I thought this
401.
is probably not very constitutional.
Yeah.
It was my objection to it. This says that people should be able to have things for personal protection.
That's what I was thinking,
I
like
don't
instead
think
of
it
listing
fits.
all the things that are prohibited, to just put what the few things that we're exempting from it.
Or strike the line. Because the laws of the state and the country will govern. I don't think we have any objection to the outline that the present laws give. Like, we don't have to add to them, do we?
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Am I-
yeah, personal protective stuff is
But it doesn't even need to be
authorized,
mentioned,
yeah, okay,
is what I'm
Alright.
saying. We have laws that say you can't transport high explosives without a permit, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and that same thing with hazardous waste and chemical substances, and so why would we even need to iterate it?
okay.
Is my thought. What do you think, Will? Or Chief? More importantly, Chief. 'cause this is-
Well, actually, no, it's your policy, and certain constitutional rights are afforded to us, obviously, and through the state constitution, one being constitutional carry, right? So if
Yeah.
you're looking at, kind of guys seem to be poking a little bit around the firearms part of that, so,
Yeah,
you know, I'm a strong Second Amendment constitutionalist myself, so I think if people use firearms in the way they were meant to be used and lawfully, then I don't see the issue.
yeah,
Yeah. But
And-
it's,
Yeah, my point was that we do have laws prohibiting
certain access.
certain
Certain.
dangerous
Yeah.
things to be. And are they sufficient, or should we say that explosives are?
yeah, I don't
We
think we
need
need
to
to,
point that
I
out.
don't think we need to list anything, I think it'd be better not to try to clarify at the
Yeah,
end of it.
can we strike it?
So what do you want me to do?
Strike the whole thing?
Yeah.
Just cross out section 401?
No,
No.
no,
Just-
well, he's,
We're
and
just
I'm not
looking at
necessarily-
this line, and right now, we're at this point,
Okay, so we're just gonna do such as
Possibly-
explosive.
at that point, but we haven't
yeah,
defined it. What was your thoughts, Lou? Is there a need for it?
Define what you're saying.
Is there a need for that line, possession of dangerous or unauthorized?
Possession of dangerous or unauthorized materials such as explosives, firearms.
Yeah. Do we need to have that as a code of conduct, as a prohibited? I mean, I guess you
so I think leaving, you know,
could, leaving it that.
the beginning and then just crossing after the comma such as explosives or firearms, just crossing that part off.
Yeah, crossing that part off, I'll go with that.
Dangerous or unauthorized materials, because we're not really writing a law book, but we're kind of referencing it.
Yeah,
We're,
happy with that.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
ignoring,
Yeah.
we're ignoring
I
it.
think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
So I'm just crossing out such as
Such as.
explosive, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, and that's,
And don't forget the comma, lest the grammar Nazis
got
come
that.
at you, right? They'll be like, "Hey, why is there a
Seriously.
comma at the end?
Yeah. And I'm not one of those people who puts a comma before and. That drives
So-
me nuts.
that's section 401, page 13, Debbie, on
They're
this copy,
wearing
Got it,
firearm.
thank you.
yeah,
Or they're gonna stick a dynamite
Yeah.
in their hand,
Right, right.
alright, and do you let them into the back area? Or do you ask them to just
Section
put it down and
406.
keep it someplace safe?
Well, again, it comes down to
Oh,
where
wrote
does
everybody
our
except the
policy,
chief.
do we have a policy on, bringing firearms into the town office?
Do you have a policy?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is this
So, I mean, at that
full-time
point,
or part-time?
they would
Again,
could
state
go through
laws.
and see if there's anything in the state law that
Yeah.
prohibited them from coming in here, but
I mean,
don't
state
believe
law
there is.
says if you work
No, they're gonna
6
state-
hours, you're
there's no
entitled
state
to
law that says
1
that
hour
they
unpaid
can't
per,
bring,
Hmm.
Mostly it's
firearms into school
schools,
property.
right, yeah.
so.
I don't know why we'd have to define that section
either.
anymore,
Yeah,
cause it leaves it wide open in order for people to manage their own. You know, we don't, Like, we're not a manufacturing company.
Right.
and Some people's availability is different, so
Right.
they
And
start
labor
at
laws
different
apply.
times and stop at different times.
Yeah, I don't.
And if somebody that's part-time wants to take an unpaid hour lunch,
Yeah.
That's up to them.
then it's
Right.
up there 2
Or an
hours.
unpaid 2
yeah,
hours or whatever, just
yeah,
clock out, clock in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. 409.
so I guess the clarification is that's full-time and part-time, like to Mindy specifically, like it's an all employee.
Okay.
What needs more information? So is this 409 says it's on violence in the workplace. And the comment was we need to have more detailed information on the processes they are taking. Have better guidelines.
Well, it comes in the section before it, 408 is quite lengthy. This is anti-harassment and non-discriminatory discrimination policy, but it's harassment, it's violence, it's all the same,
They all
Right.
fall under that.
I think so.
This would be what the glossary says.
Can these be extended to,
Okay.
I mean, this is an employee handbook, but can some of these items be extended to, intolerable visitors?
So this is what I'm wondering if that's what she was talking about, including the need to call the PD. I don't think she's thinking that other employees are gonna, you know. That's what I'm wondering. I'm not sure. She
I mean,
just sent
somebody-
it to me
if
this
somebody
afternoon
comes
and I
through and
didn't get a
starts
chance to
yelling
read it.
And screaming and threatening, you know, that can't be tolerated. Anybody trying to intimidate any of the workers should not be tolerated.
Yeah. No, and that's what it says, that it's not tolerated in any way, shape or form.
Right.
But is that between employees or is that,
Yeah, it's just
This
employees.
is, this
yeah,
is
that's
for
just
employees.
employees,
There
right,
should be another document or a poster up saying that, you know, this is
Why?
the tolerable behavior that,
treat people with respect.
And then to clarify, it says the town does not tolerate workplace violence, period.
Right,
So it could be anybody,
yeah,
you know, you get the,
right,
this is an employee handbook though.
right,
yeah, so against employees.
right,
And anybody in the
Well,
community or
won't.
anybody that comes into the office, it's
and-
not tolerated.
It should be, and that should be posted somewhere.
I don't think it needs to be because
No.
that's an unspoken law of the land. Ask the chief if he gets called when people are disorderly to the point of feeling threatened, of course. That's just a natural course. We don't have to tell people.
Because I believe people know that they can call the police anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
I just,
Oh.
yeah, no one ever said they couldn't,
yeah,
yeah, I agree with that.
So possible.
Dress code should be more specific.
Add more word. This can't be it. 12.
happy with how that one's written too.
Yeah, I mean,
Certainly not gonna look to create new rules,
yeah,
you know?
I mean, I don't know, I feel like we're all adults, I don't think you need to tell us how to dress. I don't, to me,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one's coming in with, you know,
Well, like it says, anything that's, you know, unsafe,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if she's trying to come after my sweatshirts or what, but
right? I mean, I only wear my ripped jeans on Fridays when we're not open to the public. In my favorite shirt.
just being funny.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
being
it's fine.
serious.
So 412, I think's fine.
Okay,
Lou, Jason.
Just the dress code.
yeah,
I'm
I
okay
agree.
with that. I don't think there's any ask for section 426. Just an observation, it sounds like.
Mm.
Article 5.
PTO we already talked about.
Yeah, that one we covered.
Yeah.
That's probably
Isn't that in the handbook, the work week,
Which one
Sunday to Saturday? 504? She said the pay week is based on the prior week, Sunday to Saturday.
regular are paid weekly on Wednesday by check, that's all it says.
Oh,
There's the payroll.
Are the firefighters getting weekly checks now?
monthly.
Monthly? So you just might wanna add that in there. Firefighters are paid semi-annually stipend based on training.
Well, yeah, it's not stipend, it's hourly,
Yeah, so
like
that's
for
what
their
it is.
training,
Is that
yeah.
correct then? That's all I'm saying. We can do what you want with it, so.
Yeah, it's just they're not on stipend anymore.
Is that on
Well,
504
see,
as
that's
well?
where this is probably worded correctly. The frequency of the town payroll distribution is dependent upon an employee's employment status. And then it just says it'll be checks, basically how I read it, checks will be cut weekly
Yeah,
on Wednesdays.
it leaves it open to all the different scenarios that we have going.
Sure, I get
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
should've put that up. Yep. That works.
Next one,
We did talk
performance
about that.
reviews.
So for 701 holiday pay, is gonna be for only full-time employees or full-time and part-time employees?
That was where
No one
it
could
was
remember.
brought up that someone thought that it was voted by the selectmen.
The PTO vacation, whatever time was, but no one can remember if the holiday was as well at the same time.
And the first line, it says all employees on the
Right.
holidays listed below, and then
Right,
down after the holidays, it says all full-time eligible employees. So, are we going to, which area we're gonna clarify and change? Cause they should be in sync, the two
Right.
lines.
So here it says,
Do we have the other two
employees,
copies?
holiday, then all of a sudden it says full.
so the thing is, it's not, I mean, it doesn't cost the town any more money, it's, you're budgeted for 52 weeks. If you're a part-time employee and you normally work on a Monday holiday, then you should get paid for that holiday. None of us, if a holiday falls on Friday in the town office, cause we're closed on Fridays, none of us should get that holiday. You know what I mean? like DPW does, so they should get it. But like in this building, we're closed on Fridays, so we shouldn't get a Friday holiday. But most holidays are Monday. I mean, everybody works on Thursday.
I do believe I remember that, like, type of rationale where it's
Yeah.
already budgeted for because we budgeted
Right.
for full weeks for everybody,
So
part-time or full-time. Well,
right,
not necessarily because the part-time employee that's only working 24 hours can still put their time in after the holiday and just have the holiday off.
only if that holiday falls on a day you work. If you
Yeah.
if you normally don't work on Mondays, then you wouldn't get paid for any of the Monday holidays.
Yeah.
Well, 4th of July, you get paid for.
Unless it depends on what day it falls on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like if I mean, everyone in here works Monday through Thursday in this building. I'm not talking about PD,
I
DPW, or
understand
anybody. So if there's a holiday that falls on a Friday, or a Saturday, or a Sunday, we
don't
wouldn't
get
get
paid
paid for it. But I mean, unless you're full time. I'm talking part time people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some part time
Well,
people work Monday through Thursday.
4th
Some
of July, if 4th of July falls on Saturday, and even a full-time employee's not gonna get paid for it.
yeah, we will. Yeah, that's considered a holiday, so we'll get paid either we'll probably get that Monday. Well, it's on a Thursday, so we'll get Thursday off.
Yeah, you'll have Thursday off.
Right. Because we normally work Thursday, but if it fell,
Okay, if it falls on a weekend, yeah, you would get paid straight time then?
It's only the part-timers.
we're only talking about part timers.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying full-time employee,
Yeah.
do they get paid on the holiday?
The full time employees get all 10 holidays, 8 plus 2 floaters,
Okay,
no matter what day of the week it falls on.
okay.
So we'd get, we'd get paid for the holiday. Part-timers, if the holiday falls on a day that you don't work, then you don't get paid for it. If it falls on a day that if you work on Mondays every month, if you work every Monday and the holiday falls on a Monday, then you'd get paid for the holiday.
Whether you work or not? Is
Only
that
if you're
how?
normally scheduled for
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
What's
I think that's what she's saying, only if you were normally scheduled for
Right.
the day.
and you take the day off
What
because it's a holiday. It's a Monday holiday.
Yeah. If we go to the definitions and status,
Yeah.
if we're going to assign it to part-time employees, then we have to change definitions and status.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna have to change it anyway because you did the part-timers get PTO. So that, right, so that would need to get changed anyway.
Where did we do that?
Doesn't it say in there as well with the holiday, doesn't, and the status thing, doesn't it say on the part? You just said you'd have to change it.
This says that it's PTO is eligible full-time employees.
Right,
Uh,
but the selectmen voted to give part-timers PTO. So that's not in the handbook, and it needs, that's kind of what brought up this whole thing. Is because when the selectmen voted to give the part-timers PTO time, the employee handbook wasn't updated. So, and part-timers get whatever their normal weekly hours are, and that's what their PTO is. Like, if you only work 10 hours a week and that's your part-time position, you don't get 20 or 40 or whatever, whatever your normal work week is, that's how many hours a year you get off paid. Feels later. Feels like it's later than 7:15.
Oh, my stomach's saying.
I'm starving.
Dude.
I don't know why I can't recall that. Like those discussions.
You think it was before I came on, or checking if I had notes?
Well, I'm gonna step out if you guys are all set.
Yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Alright, but
Yeah, the meats and
if you want me to
potatoes.
stick around for anything special, I certainly can,
Do you still need more wax or are you okay?
but.
I just have to dig them up.
Yeah, it might, like I said, you could bring one over and see if it worked,
Okay,
and if it wouldn't, we might be able to use it.
yeah, well, yeah, cause I mean, they're 10 foot tall, but you just saw off the bottom of them.
Right, yeah, but yeah, cause the ceiling's only what,
Yeah,
a little under 8, I think. But they may work.
So I have a note from
yeah, cause I've got
May
about
18th,
15 or 20.
2021. My note says employees, for DPW employees voted to receive 10 hours if working for 10-hour days. Then underneath that I put handbook to receive one amendment on holiday pay, then we approve. And I don't. So that was May 18th of 2021 that something was brought up about holiday pay. And I believe then we had a workshop, and I don't think anything ever happened, but I could be mistaken.
Alright,
Thank you.
have a good
Thank you,
night, chief.
Good to see everyone.
Sorry, chief. Sorry. I do it all the time. Let's see if there's any minutes over here from that. Yeah, 2020 and 2021 are pretty thin.
2021, I think. Yeah, I wasn't here in
2020,
2020. but-
2021, 2022. What's up, Ron?
Hello, Mr. Stanley.
How are
Evening.
you?
You got any suggestions?
He was suggesting.
You wanna throw anything into the mix?
Oh, yeah, I see, I heard him talk, you guys talking about overtime, what, right?
Talking about what?
Overtime, on 8 hours is your work hour. You gotta put 40 hours in, period, to get overtime,
Yeah, that's the way it's written now.
you know?
Yeah.
They act like they wanna work 8 hours and then get overtime.
Yeah,
No,
which in manufacturing jobs, that's common practice to do things like that.
Not anymore,
No?
not this town, I hope not.
no. Everybody's gone over to the federal and the state laws, which basically say based on 40 hours,
Just based on
overtime
40.
based on 40 hours.
Alright.
That doesn't say anything about, there were actually minutes
There was.
for that day. Holiday pay, how to handle the employees who work alternate schedules was discussed. John feels holiday should be paid at 8 hours, just like sick and vacation. It was discussed how this would affect other employees in similar situation. Sean made a motion to pay full-time employees holiday pay consistent with how it's laid out in the handbook from this point going forward. Jason seconded. John opposed. Handbook to be reviewed and finalized with holiday pay update and distributed to everyone. That's it.
And that was in 21?
What was it that John opposed?
Paying full-time employees holiday pay consistent with how it's laid out in the handbook.
Which would be if you work 10-hour, like how the DPW switches to 10-hour shifts, then they'd be eligible for getting full 10 hours because that's a normal day that they were gonna work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all it says. It doesn't say anything about vacation or.
So it must have been before my time. I'm up to,
You were here
August.
in 21, right?
yeah,
When you got elected?
that, what you're remembering must have been before my time, unless I didn't write it in my notes, which is very possible.
So for right now, we're gonna leave it then, right?
Leave it as what? So part-time does not get holidays.
Correct.
Okay. But they do get PTO. Cause that was voted on.
Do you have that?
I didn't, I only looked at that one date and a
Yeah.
couple before and after it.
Yeah.
But it
No,
was.
the voted on the PTO.
Yeah, I don't know when that was. I'll have to go through however many, couple of years.
Okay. So for
Unless
now,
you
like
know.
like it's gonna stay for now like this until we find that vote or we vote to change it ourselves.
Well, everyone remembered, well, I mean, what if somebody, there's a part-timer that has PTO put in already? Like,
Is it already being
can't take it
calculated
away,
then?
yeah,
Oh,
because everyone remembered part-time PTO being authorized,
yeah,
but no one could remember whether or not it was holidays as well. So the PTO thing for part-timers wasn't a question,
yeah.
it's the holidays that was a question. So you're saying holidays, no, for part-timers?
Yeah.
That's how it,
Um,
that's how
um,
the handbook reads, right?
Unless we
Yeah.
find something that, because it
Yeah,
says that they were gonna talk about it again after that date, but I
Yeah.
don't know. So. Okay. No holidays for part-time until,
Get to hear it again.
unless minutes are found.
And then the PTO, how long has that been being calculated?
When Jen and Susan were both part-time.
Okay.
It was when I wanna say, because I went from doing that, which I got nothing,
So
you know,
point being, it
I'm
wasn't
trying
the
to-
last
I'm
3
trying to get
months,
it-
it's been years.
Oh, no, it's
That's-
years, yeah. I
okay.
think I may have been town clerk when that was done, cause Jen and Susan were both part-time. And then the board voted to give part-timers PTO, and then they were made full-time,
Yeah.
so. Right now, it basically affects.
So then that
only
definition
Marcy.
and status section would need to be clarified that they're eligible for the PTO.
Right, that's what brought up the whole thing, was cause it wasn't changed in the handbook.
So part-time employees
Debbie, you may wanna get-
eligible essentially it gives a week
Somebody with a
paid
plunger
vacation
Yeah.
to part-time employees.
Yeah.
for the bathroom as flushing the toilet bubbles up in the sink.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay.
I emailed Peter and Mark today. I don't use the bathroom, so I don't know. I just get hearsay. Alright, so Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I was just going over what we were talking about.
Which
That-
it would be good to have minutes of the meeting where that vote took place,
Right.
because you know we're gonna get heat.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because you're essentially offering part-time employees a week's paid vacation, which
Not a
generally-
week, it's just whatever their hours are.
No, it's 5 days.
No,
So it says.
What?
After 6 months of eligible service, the employee is entitled to 5 PTO days each year. So that's a week's paid vacation.
for part-time?
Well,
No, there's no part-time section
There's no
in there.
defining.
That's what I was
anything.
saying, like trying to go through and the definition and status needs to be updated, that section. And then this PTO time needs to be clarified too.
But so it would be good to have the minutes to see,
Yeah.
because what you're describing is
Yeah.
that happens if it's on a holiday? No, that's,
If so prior to whenever that vote was, part-timers got nothing at all. No sick, no vacation, no PTO. At one point, and I wanna say it's 2020, the selectmen voted to give part-time employees PTO time, equivalent to their week worked. So if you work 20 hours a week, you'd get 20 hours of PTO a year. If you work 10 hours a week, you get 10 hours of PTO a year. It's whatever your part-time work week equals, that's what you get for a year.
so that would be really good to have. If there was a vote to amend that, it would be good to get that verbiage and we just plunk it here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh,
Okay, well, see if I can do some research,
oh man, huh?
dig into the depths, and if the minutes aren't there, I'll have to watch videos. Do I get overtime for that?
You're not eligible.
No, we do. Should get hazard pay for some of the things.
Right.
So I'm not gonna update those till I find the minutes.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I have to look for an updated draft then.
You're not gonna finish the rest of them?
What's that? Oh. They jumped it.
Oh, there's a back page. Staff meeting should be updated. Hey, same comment.
To add the department heads being meeting bi-weekly. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Part-time employees being what?
No, department heads have staff meetings bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Every other Wednesday we have them. Well, first and third Wednesday of every month we have a staff meeting. department heads.
Yeah, I know, I knew that.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly, I thought, and twice a week.
I don't know what the equivalent would be.
Bi-monthly,
Yeah.
twice a month.
Bi-monthly, yeah. That's better.
Is that visitors in the workplace? Where is that?
Appendix 2. Page 46. Looks like.
Are all the new changes permanent?
Huh?
Well, I don't see where this dissuades anybody like that from bringing a family member in.
What's that?
I don't know.
Signing in and out?
The visitors in the workplace. Yeah, I just. So is that policy in particular that she's talking about? Does that say that children have to sign in? Or?
No, it doesn't say, we just said any visitors,
Mm-hmm.
So it would be everybody.
so, but I mean, family members shouldn't have to, you know, Mai comes in and visits her, you know,
Yeah. And even if
What
they had to
is
sign in, I don't understand exactly
Yeah.
why people are so afraid to say that they were someplace
I
at
know.
some time. I'm kind of
Well,
missing the whole.
some
That might be-
people are
that-
taking
that's
offense.
looking at it from the back perspective. Looking at it from the perspective of what harm is it?
Right,
But on the other hand, if you look at it from the perspective of why do you need this and what are you doing with this information? So what are we doing with the information, first of all? Is it helpful for us? How? If it is helpful, we should tell people how it's helpful. If it's not helpful, then we should ask ourselves, why are we doing it?
Well, just for the point of having a record of somebody coming into the building and being able to substantiate whether or not they could have potentially gotten hurt on that day if they signed in, you know, like
Has
so.
there
there's-
ever been
so
an
it's a benefit.
incident like this?
Jason, I don't know, but like I'm saying, that's one way. Yeah, like, and why do we have to wait until something happens in order to?
Because when
Because I see it as a benefit to people, not as a deterrent. So I just.
But it's not being, by a lot of people, it's not being looked at that way.
yeah, people are getting, some people think they don't care, it's no big deal, other people think it's ridiculous and we should trust everyone who walks in the office. That is a direct quote. Quote unquote, ridiculous and we should trust people.
And who made that quote?
I'm not gonna say.
We're on TV.
Okay.
So there is a mixed reaction.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And the problem I see with taking preemptive measures is you end up boxing yourself in because of the fear of this possibly could happen, that could happen, this could happen. Basically, I mean, we've had this kind of discussion before. It's, so you're gonna just kill all the, I would call it good, like a friendly, hospitable atmosphere is gonna be smoshed into just a bureaucratic, systematic, you come in, you do your thing, you leave.
And nobody said you had to do that.
But all of the, like,
Well, if we could, like, if I could just have this conversation with Jason, I don't see how putting your name on a piece of paper changes that at all. And I just having a real hard time understanding why and how when, so everybody in this office and the employees are known people to whoever's coming into the building, potentially, or even if they don't know, they know who they're looking for, administrator,
Yeah.
someone. So for them to be able to come in and speak to them and maybe complain every day of the week, but never give their name, never give an explanation of why or how it could be resolved. It's not a fair playing ground to me, and I'm really not understanding.
I don't know what
Like,
you
why
just
would
said.
someone need to be like, not say who they were when they were going in to somebody? Like, if I went to your house, would you expect the same thing? That I could just walk
would
into
never
your house?
ask you to sign in. Ever.
You wouldn't invite me in without knowing who I am. In a lot of ways, we can't verify every person whether they're a resident or not, or it doesn't even matter if they're a resident or not in order to come into the town office.
So is that bad? Because that's what you get when you go into a store. That's like life.
Usually people come in here for a specific purpose and not to just meander around and go through all the offices at their own will.
I would agree with
and
that.
not to be questioned of who they are or what they're doing. You know, like it's a workplace, even though it's a government function.
Yeah.
This is still a workplace,
Yeah.
and I would, you know, aside from a lot of the job sites I go on, and even some of the job sites I do go on, we have to sign in and out at the beginning and end of every day. It's not like that for all job sites.
Yeah.
But
It's a choice that
whenever
that
I go
a contractor makes.
to a business, there's usually a receptionist there that'll have me sign in, like to go see somebody, and then she'll pick up the phone and call whoever I'm looking to go and see. It's not that uncommon for private businesses to have the same type of thing, just a sign in and sign out sheet.
Even you go to the doctor's office, you have to check in with them.
Well, again, I'm not trying to exclude you from the conversation, but I just
Alright.
want to
I was just
understand the point.
reiterating your point.
No,
Saying
I
the
appreciate
same
it. I do appreciate it, Debbie.
So then what do we do? What do we do with these records? And the whole thing is the other aspect to it is it's just one more layer. It's another layer. You wanna talk to someone in here? Stop. Sign in. You say big deal, I say it's another layer. And another layer of inaccessibility for people.
Well, because there's accessibility issues that had popped up. You
But
know,
are
not
taken
everybody's at, well, to some degree.
To some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not bad to have a layer or two in order for the people that are here trying to perform a task and a duty besides chatting with community members all day or listening
Does
to
that
just
happen
random
before
gripes.
the sign-ins?
Well, like, to finish, to make an appointment, like to ask, could you simply make an appointment, you know, like to come in, cause then that gives the person who's here working, if they say, yeah, come in on Thursday at 11 and I'll be ready for you, then they've cleared out an hour, half hour of their time or whatever it is, like how long do you think you're gonna like need, so that they can schedule that in, so that they can give the appropriate amount of time in order to have a full conversation with a community member
That
versus
would be very
a
wise
5 minute,
to
like I
do
don't
that.
have time for you, like I don't have time right now, but come back another day.
But
You know,
so you're saying that the sign-in is not required for family members. So if I'm sitting here in a meeting and during the day, say it was I think I've done it once. Say I attended a staff meeting
yeah,
and then one of my kids or my wife had something that I forgot and
Yeah.
they come to bring it to me. They have to stop and sign in, bring it to me, then go and sign out.
Not really,
Is
cause they
that-
could just drop it off at the
Yeah.
front.
I mean,
Or
and,
they
and
can-
I don't think family should have to sign in.
This
I
guy's
mean,
got something to say.
Clearly everyone knows, you know what I mean? We all
I don't know, it
we
doesn't
all
seem like
know
everyone
each
does
other's
if
families.
it's asking for a waiver for children, parents, grandparents.
that's another layer.
Right.
To
I
me.
we
That's
just
writing
said
it-
everyone.
That's writing in another layer.
If you
But
make
if-
an exception,
What's that?
if you make an exception for
This is
family
accepting a layer.
or what?
Yeah, no, it's like that line is adding another layer, then you need a waiver sheet, you're gonna sign a waiver stating,
What if you didn't have a sign-in and sign-out policy?
yeah,
What would happen? There wasn't one when I started here.
yeah, and then there were issues that,
There was issues with
yeah,
several people.
and it's good practice in general, I believe
Explain
in
why.
business, like if you have, and like any type of offices, they're gonna ask who you are and what your business is and who you wanna see, will you please
Which-
sign in
which
on the
would
sheet?
happen.
It happens 90% of the time.
See this? I wanna be put on the list of talk time. Go ahead, finish your conversation.
We're,
No,
we're kind of
before
going
I
around in
jump-
circles. We're
before-
welcoming
Yeah,
fresh
please.
input.
Please,
Yeah.
We are working with a bare bones staff here. There really isn't a whole lot of, or aren't a whole lot of people that are not busy during the day. Everybody is busy, everybody's got a job to do. Alright? My recommendation is that if someone wants to come and speak to a land use clerk or whoever, that we recommend that they set up an appointment. Call in and set up a time with that person. Because that way, as you said, you can set aside a half hour or an hour time frame to explain what needs to be done and whatever, and you're just I wouldn't say you're inconvenienced, you've taken one person away from what other work they might have to do.
yeah,
If you end up bringing multiple people in, if they're all seeing that one person at the same time to get the whole picture, there's nothing wrong with that, cause you're still only, got an appointment with one person. Now, if you've got people that are just coming in at any point during the day, they're going to interrupt somebody. And that person is going to have to put their work down, they'll have to give that person, so whoever comes in, a half hour to an hour or more, whatever it takes. And then it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes for that, example, land use clerk to get back to figure out where they were with what they were doing, because they have to figure out what paperwork they were doing with the people that came in, that interrupted them, and it may not have been a very good time. So in order to set up a sense of priority and a sense of I don't know what the term would be, of being prepared to deal with exactly what that person wants to be, an appointment should be set.
so I feel like
Anything
feel like that, we agree that that's a good point, but where we're kind of losing this is just the sign-in sheet. like having to write down whether or not like
We'll,
that you came in.
I'll get to that in a moment. If a person comes in that does not have an appointment, somebody out there, let's say the tax clerk or whoever, will ask if the, you know, if the land use clerk is busy and could they see them now? And the answer there will simply be a yes or a no. And, you know, now you're dealing with one person coming in or one family of people coming in. You know, it could be somebody with a couple of kids or whatever the case may be. And you know, that person already knows that they're going to have to, you know, set some time aside, but it's not interrupting a whole lot of people. And that's the whole thing is, if the land use clerk says that, you know, they're busy, they could just say, I don't have the time right now, can you please set up an appointment for tomorrow at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever. Alright? You don't have that many people working here. You can't deal with a lot of interruptions.
I don't think that was the point that we were disagreeing on. It was just sheerly the sign in, sign out sheet, and then probably like that other layer of the door that doesn't close off all employee, like it's not like everybody works at the other end of the office to have like a more open flow to like a public section of the building.
But that whole thing with having an appointment cuts that down because appointments are set at a specific time. And you're limited
So
number of
not in
people
the
that
scenario
come in.
where Mindy would like to have her daughter come in, say for lunch, and have lunch with her. Sign in, sign out sheet.
Fine, you know, everybody's going to know who that is. It's a family member,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I don't know that a family, was there ever any problem with a family member having to sign in?
They never had to.
Nobody,
Nobody ever had to until now. It's been in the last 3 months that we've adopted policies and put up a doorway, and all of this is addressing a problem that occurred last year, not just once. However, I think that incident no longer is an active thing, but what we're left with is a lot of reaction to a bad period of time, which will now carry forward.
Hold on, let Debbie,
may I speak as someone who is in the building a minimum of, I don't know, 40, 50 hours a week and works with all the other people who are in the building and we have to deal with this. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic, I mean, you guys are saying your opinions, which are always fine. The sign-in sheet, I don't feel like should have to be to include family members of anybody who works in the building. I don't see a problem with having anyone who comes in, appointment or not, if we bring someone back here that didn't have an appointment or did have an appointment, if it's not a family member, I don't see what the big deal is of having someone sign in. And it's not, the problem isn't gone, cause it wasn't, I mean, I don't know, everybody thinks it was a certain 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, and it could be anybody, you know? The door is open all day long, the only time it's closed is when there's a meeting in this room and people are coming and going, so there is a board member of whatever board there is that can see those 2 offices. So if anybody decided they wanted to break into one of those offices or whatever, I mean, there's someone sitting in this seat or in the audience that would see that happen. The door blocks off the whole rest of the building for anyone just wandering around who wanted to. I mean, I'm not saying anyone has ill intent to do anything, but there is always the possibility. Yes, there is confidential stuff back there. If someone forgets to lock a file cabinet, I mean, there's a whole myriad of reasons of why this is all taking place. And yes, we did have a really bad time for a while, for months on end. But it doesn't mean that it's not gonna, like, I don't see why there is such a big deal. There are people who refused to sign in and said that it's illegal, which I did check with a couple of attorneys, and it is not illegal to request someone to sign in to a non-public area of a building. This, past that point, is a non-public area. The public area is the lobby, and that is it. So
Yeah,
it is
and
not
all of
against
this,
the law.
all of this may be technically up to snuff. I'll say it, I've said it 100 times in the last couple of months. The tone of this office has changed, and I don't think it's for the better.
Well, I mean, do you value that's not the way I want to say it, because that doesn't make sense. It's not I'm not saying you're valuing the residents of the town more than you're valuing the employees, because I know that's not where you're going with that, but like, everybody should have a right to feel safe in their workplace. I mean, enough people came to me enough times that I brought it to you guys. So I mean, I had no choice. I had to, and I'm not the only one who had.
You requested.
Right.
The board has done what the board has done.
Right.
I don't recall
But it
a
was.
sign-in policy being adopted officially by the board.
No, there was not a sign-in policy adopted officially by the board.
We've always had a
It
sign-in
was-
policy
For meetings,
Meetings.
yeah,
For
and that's
just for
mostly for the
meetings.
minute takers, as far as I
Right.
understand.
Yeah, to see
It
who
makes
was
their
here.
job easier.
But I mean, if you want, I will throw the clipboard away. If that's what
Well-
you guys want.
Well, it's just a part of the larger thing. I don't know. Ron, you've been in this office for many years. Decades.
What did you say?
I said, has the tone of the office changed? Is it more institutional in the last few months, or am I imagining things?
No comment.
See?
All right, there we go.
Switzerland.
Neutral.
I-
Teach you to come
so-
into our meeting room while
I
we're being
know, like-
televised.
But he'll tell you when he goes back there.
I don't
so
blame
don't
you
worry
at all.
about it.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
I mean, I do feel the atmosphere in here has changed with everyone, and it's not for the better. I don't think, but I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just let it be a free for all and let anybody who wants to wander around and
I
treat people
I
badly.
mean, I didn't come here a lot all my life, but every time I came in here, it was pretty much a friendly atmosphere. I could come to a meeting like we have some people do lately,
Mhm.
which is nice, and
Yeah.
was addressed. I don't know.
But like when you're coming, a meeting is something, a total different animal than coming 9 to 4 Monday through Thursday,
Yeah, and
when
I guess
everybody is here.
I don't know how big the problem is today. If it, maybe it is. Maybe the people in town have just lost control of their civility and they can't
Some have.
just. I understand. Some have. Some always will.
Right. Oh no.
But do we
there
we live our lives around these people, or do we say, well, I don't know, take
Do we
action
say-
on the individuals rather than implementing this thing that, yes, what's the big deal? Sign in. What's the big deal? Ask permission to go to the bathroom. What's the big deal? And it's not. What's the big deal? Why put up a stink about it? But it's another layer, and another layer. And then when all the layers get put together, it ends up being like, well, this isn't what I was hoping. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I shut. I'm gonna join Ron.
You know, you gotta stop thinking, you just can't have everybody running up here and coming in this building, they won't do it.
Is that how it was?
Yeah.
Well,
It was a madhouse
that
in
time
here?
has changed.
No, but was it a madhouse in here? I don't.
It wasn't necessarily a madhouse, but
Oh, and Ron was gonna
Yep.
expand.
I mean, you got two offices out in the lobby. Anybody that comes in can speak to those people in the lobby there. find out
Left
what's
or
going on,
right?
Right?
Yeah. And we're not talking about, I don't think all of New Ipswich wants to access these rooms. I don't think so, but the few people who have been more active in town, whether it's a committee or whatever, like Ron, for them to be able to come in and feel,
I don't have a problem.
yeah.
I might come here when I need to.
Well, I mean, if Debbie agrees the tone has changed, then what do we do?
The
Yeah.
tone has
It's
changed in
not
a
a good
worse way or a
thing.
bad way.
She said it, and I said, I don't think it's been in a good way, and she has agreed that somehow it's not. But how do you fix that? Because the tone is really important.
Well, I think everybody's still friendly, but I think it's a little bit more of a professional atmosphere.
Well,
Everybody's busy, everybody's got a job, and there's a lot less interruptions.
maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But as it stands now, I mean, I guess that's not even in the handbook. So.
Has anybody been, maybe perhaps the friendly atmosphere isn't quite as friendly as it was, but has that actually influenced the workflow or influenced the type of result that people have been getting?
It's a good question.
My experience is no.
Yeah, I haven't actually asked people. I'm just going on my observations, and I understand I am not here during the week. That's probably one of my biggest shortcomings as selectman, but.
well, nobody said you had to be. It's just
Well, no, but I'm saying that I'm not here every day, and so some of the things that I'm seeing and perceiving, maybe there is full justification. Maybe if I was here every day and looked at the things that you guys have to go through, I'd be like, phew, iron bars. I don't know. Well, I don't. So I'm
Well,
just
padded
conceding that
walls, one
point
or the
that
other.
that I'm not speaking from full experience, only speaking from perception of the atmosphere. That's it, and it could
But
be.
you just admitted that your perception is limited because you're not here during the day.
Exactly.
You know, you're
Yep.
here on Tuesday from 5 o'clock to, to 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And you're seeing a very limited view of what really goes on.
That is exactly what I just said. Yep. So, there was no call for action. We've had another discussion.
Unless there's any motions that wish to be made.
I would like to ask, do you have anything more to say, Debbie? 'Cause
I
know
have
that you
nothing
did.
to say.
What
Nope.
an exhausting meeting. Who would have thought, huh?
I was hoping you would.
No, I have nothing.
Alright, on to the next, weather-related, emergency-related closings. If employees are not allowed to work, do they get paid? Should be written either way. So currently it says at times emergencies such as severe weather, fires, or power failures can disrupt operations. In such instances, the chairman of the board of selectmen, followed by the other board members or the town administrator, will decide on the closure, and department managers will provide the official notification to the employees. So, to me, if you have vacation time or PTO or some other time to fill in that day, that's the way it would be paid, not necessarily that they would have to be compensated for that time or a missed day of work.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Ma'am?
May I speak regarding that? If the town
46.
closes the office and we don't allow people to come in, I feel like people should be paid for that day. I don't feel like you should have to use vacation time because the selectmen said we're closing the office because the weather's too bad, it's like whatever it is. But I feel like they should get paid for that day. They shouldn't have to use their own personal vacation time to get paid if you're telling them they can't come to work. That's how it is in outside.
Not in the private sector.
When I worked at Ace Hardware, that's how it was. When I worked at Bed Bath and Beyond, that's how it was. When I
They
worked
gave
at,
you paid snow days?
if they told, no, not because it snowed and you couldn't get there. If the town, or if whatever business was had to close because of a weather related thing, and they called all the employees who were scheduled that day and said, you don't come in, we're closing, then they would pay you.
Paid.
If the place of business was open and I couldn't get there because it was snowing too hard, or because New Ipswich is a snow globe, even though I worked in Lexington, the weather's it's sunny
That was your
and
problem.
that's my problem. Then I would have to take time. But if the business was closed for the day and they
How
called,
often did that happen in a
very
state?
very rarely.
That's what I'm seeing.
And it happened very rarely. I mean, I don't think it's ever happened here that we ever told anyone not to come in since I've been here anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't think if you tell someone not to come to work that they should have to use personal time to get paid. I mean, if the situation is that bad, then, that's just my opinion. For whatever that's worth.
What are your thoughts, Lou?
Have none. It was I had one of those jobs that, no matter how bad the weather was, and I was working in hospitals, so it was one of those that a hospital had to go and work anyway, and it was everybody within the company focused in on that type of thing.
Essential personnel.
Emergency services fall outside of a routine service that a municipal office deals with. Just like saying, just because there's a big fire across town, do you keep the fire department from going over there? there's trees laying across the road,
Yeah.
you know, do you
Oh.
send a police department out?
Well, I mean, essential personnel is different than,
Right.
again, like I had said earlier today, you know, these guys are, our lives can depend on that for rescue to get through, you know, getting trees out of the way,
Mhm.
whatever, police, any of that stuff. But as far as, I mean, I don't wanna demean any of the positions in here, but technically clerical, I mean,
Right.
if I don't come to work or Jen doesn't come to work, it's not gonna affect anybody else's life outside of this building
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of a day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But if these guys don't, that would affect everyone, potentially. So like emergency, I feel like is totally separate than,
Right. And the job that my company was doing was hospital equipment
Right.
and it's emergency service.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's something that happens very often, so.
So maybe put something in there that compensation can be determined by the current board of selectmen on a case by case basis or something like that. Cause I think if there's a state of emergency, I believe, I don't even know, I'm not sure. If there's anything from the state that, you know, kicks in that forces the towns to, you know, like that's the policy of the state to make payment.
You know, the four of us here are pretty much decision makers when an emergency comes up. And if there's any question about that. So, at least one of us would be available.
Yeah.
And that's what I've got that first net for.
and I was
So you can
thinking
come and
too,
open the office and they can just be open whenever.
like the ice
Don't
storm.
have
You
to
ready to, yeah.
How long was the town office closed when they had the ice storm?
I
I'm
don't know,
just-
'cause I couldn't get off of my road
Right,
for almost 10 days.
right. So, like, was the town clerk open? Was like, I would think
No.
that if it was
All of
so
that was
bad
closed.
that, but I mean,
So
you're
then
gonna
you pay them,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you
So it
know,
was
if
like-
you're 2 weeks of,
it was close
you're
to
gonna
3
pay
for a lot of
everyone
parts.
2 to 3 weeks. I mean, that's, I would guess you'd have to have like a
Well, and that's where
limit
it's
in there.
well, that's where it's unique with the municipality because it's budgeted, right? So everybody
Right.
points to, we have the money, we have the money, we have the money.
Right,
So spend it, spend it, spend it, but not necessarily because other people that don't work in the municipality don't get
they're not
compensated
getting
for their
compensated,
time.
right. I don't know.
So essentially, leaving it how it is would give us.
It
the
allows the
authority.
discussion, yeah,
It would allow us to make a determination one way or another.
at that time, yeah.
Anytime an emergency situation comes up,
Yeah.
it's up to this group here to make a decision.
Yeah.
So leave it as is.
Alright, leave that.
Three hours.
To make no changes.
Who would have thunk?
Awesome.
Not no changes, there's some changes.
Like 3.
Jeez.
More clarifications than changes.
Yeah, so we need a clarification.
There was a lot of discussion.
There was a lot of discussion. Good discussion.
Things that'll come up in 6 months again, so.
Possibly. Maybe everyone will be so exhausted from this, no one will wanna talk about it anymore.
Yeah, talk about it while I'm away. April 9th. Talk about it that night.
April 9th, you're leaving?
I'm not, well, I'm leaving the 5th, but I won't be here the 9th. I'll be in eclipsed Florida, 3 days of darkness.
Couple things I'd like to note in the roundtable part of this conversation. Planning board has 2 more spaces available for alternates, if anyone out there is interested in serving. Yeah,
I've got somebody that, would be good on that.
So,
I'll ask-
please
I'll ask
come
her to
and,
submit
yeah,
an application.
okay, yeah. And then, you know, usually you'll come do a couple few meetings, make a determination whether or not you feel like it's something that you wanna do, and then, that nomination process would move forward. Building inspector code enforcement posting, has that been done yet?
No.
So we have to get that, posting right up and out. And just a reminder that next week's meeting is when we had invited fire department back, like to have a discussion about their next chief. So
And also opening the sealed bids for the we have on the fire truck.
yes, but please have some pre-formed, you know, questions like for that segment of the meeting, whether it's in public or non-public session.
Was that gonna be with the two who were put forward last? Like the non-public session?
Yeah, yeah,
So that would be the proposed deputy and proposed chief?
correct, yeah,
So
Would they be
did,
separate, non-public?
they should be,
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did you wanna do the non-publics first? So Ron doesn't have to go regular and then non-public and then back and potentially lose recordings or cause they have their meeting as well, so they can't do
yeah, they can't,
At
they
the
can't come
end.
in late,
And
yeah,
non-public for the rest of it.
so I guess it makes sense to have them come in
two
first,
non-publics
Yeah.
first.
and I'd say probably an hour apart,
Okay, so one at 5, one at 6.
yeah.
Did we set a time for the? Or is that all we're doing?
And then
The
open
sealed
fire
bids,
department.
yeah,
Open
fire
the-
department and then the sealed bids, I believe was the only thing that we had already loaded on the agenda.
Yep.
That'll be old new business. You can talk about the handbook again.
Okay.
Cause I have something to do that night.
Debbie, did you have anything for old new business?
No.
Jason?
I was trying to look back in my notes again, and I should have looked in my minutes. When we did the awarding of the bid for the pool house,
Yes.
did we specify which account that money was to be drawn from?
Yes.
We did.
GGB
Oh,
maintenance
the cap
budget
reserve
line
or the
item.
budget line?
budget line.
That's what I
Peter
thought.
found the paper.
I
Him and
thought-
I were going crazy trying to figure it out,
Yeah,
and then
he-
he said he found a piece of paper that he had written it on.
Well, yeah. I was trying to look at when we discussed that.
I know what you wanted to talk about.
Hmm?
I know what you wanted to talk about.
Who did?
You,
Well, this is what I was bringing up.
something else?
No, this account. When did we do it? Just so we could quickly look, because I'm pretty sure we specified it when we voted, didn't we? I know you like to try and
Yeah.
include that.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't.
I believe we had some discussion surrounding the money and whether or not those were actually budgeted items to come out of that account or not.
Oh, did we? Oh,
Yeah.
so there's even more to it.
Yeah, cause it really should come out of GGB and,
Yeah.
not Parks and Rec.
See, that's what I told him today. I'm like, I think it makes sense to me that it comes out of the operating budget.
Yeah.
It's a small roof. Part of the maintenance of a small
Well,
building.
even
Well, it looks like
well
it's gonna
that
be a
that
little
roof
bit-
was gonna be split up between I thought Parks and Rec was gonna cover a portion, pool was gonna cover a portion, and then,
Really?
yeah, like it was,
So
I
that
thought
would
that
have
was
had
the
to
other
have been,
roof.
That was
multi-tiered.
the original thought.
I thought that was the other roof. There were
so
two
which
roofs
roof,
they
yeah,
were
which
gonna
roof
do.
were we talking about?
the actual pool house where the kids go to, where you walk through to get into the,
Yeah, and that's the one that's multi-use, you know, like it, you know, it's pool, there's Parks and Rec storage in there as well.
Oh, I thought they stored.
So
their
that's where
stuff in
they're
both
looking
of
to,
them.
kind of, to split up the cost between them,
I thought,
their revolving accounts.
yeah.
on, for
I thought the
the
filter
re-roofing
I,
of
houses
that?
were
I
this-
don't think it, you know what, it should not come out of that account, those accounts.
I'll try to find the
Perhaps a certain
minutes.
percentage of it might, but I think, the general building,
General government.
GGB, yeah.
I'll find the minutes.
'Cause
Well,
are
so-
you thinking of the filter house?
That's what I was thinking. I
Well, no,
thought that-
all, like,
Both of them buildings.
yeah, like when we had the roof discussion,
Mm-hmm.
when Mindy was in, it was spoken about splitting up the cost between a few different things.
Mhm.
Because we only allocated so much in GGB for specific things. So you can't go and then expend it all on roofs on something else when this is like the 5th time that I've had to ask somebody to slow down about the GGB account, because it's not just like, oh, now we can hit stuff because money, no.
Mhm.
It was proposed that there are specific projects that were gonna be done for that money. So when I say the 5th time, I'm talking about last year too.
Right.
Like, and then at the end of the year, having to encourage the fire department to expend that money on the repairs at the fire station, because we had allotted $15,000 or so in order to make repairs over at the fire department, and they weren't utilizing the money. So then people start looking at it and wanting to utilize that money when it wasn't, it was intended for another use.
How
So
much
then-
did we end up leaving in that line on December 31st?
I'm not sure,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd be curious.
yeah. So
Well,
just to make
this
sure
one here,
that-
if I recall, it was somewhere 70, I don't remember. Between $7,000 and $8,000 was the invoice.
Mhm.
Yeah, for the roof,
Yeah,
right, and there's still an unknown with that because they don't know what's actually under,
no, they're done. It has a new roof.
oh, does it?
The invoice is in Peter's hands, maybe Debbie's hands
Is
by
that the
now.
pool roof
Yeah,
or the filter
not the
house?
fire,
Not,
and not the filter house.
okay, it's the actual,
Yeah.
the big building.
The big building,
Okay.
yeah.
But the other one, I guess,
Yeah, that one, he's working up,
yeah.
Peter's working up a, whatever you call that for bid.
RFP.
Proposal. Yeah, RFP. So he's got some sketches coming and
Yeah, cause there's also a lot of money
scope
going
of
out
work.
for pool filters and stuff this year.
No. We got a new pill filter last year.
Yeah, last
Mhm.
year it was
That was
expended,
last year.
Yeah.
so their capital reserve is kinda tapped, probably.
I thought that
Yeah.
was out of ARPA.
Yeah, the
Oh, was
filter
it
was
out
out
of
of ARPA,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so their capital reserve shouldn't be tapped.
So that maybe was the discussion that Mindy was having that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
You're saying it was both buildings, but certainly this one that's falling apart, the filter house, is gonna have to be talked about.
Correct, like it's a bigger
Fine.
project,
It
yeah.
is, yeah.
Whereas when it was just the roof replacement of that other building, I feel like it was split up 3 different ways. Like where the money was gonna
Interesting.
come from.
Yeah, I
Charlie
remember
would
that
have to
conversation,
know,
but I
yeah,
can't remember
or-
if it was for the pool house or the filter house. It
Peter
wasn't
would
for
have
both
to know. It wasn't that long ago,
that I
right?
remember. I may be wrong. I'm gonna go find the minutes.
And we have minutes that are current, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
and searchable.
Should there not be
Keywords.
any actions taken like you're saying, should it just come out of the GBW?
GGB,
Get some kind of act.
Liberty Bibbity.
Oh, hopefully,
I think-
I think it's gonna be easy enough to find clarification
Yeah, I feel
before
like,
the end of the week and next week's billing cycle,
yeah,
Can take care of it.
yeah.
Good.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, we have to start looking at, replacing some of the swings and stuff out there also.
She's all over that.
Yeah, she has quotes and prices. Last week or the week before was in talking about that. So
About that,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Lou,
Nope,
make a motion to adjourn.
second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.